Well, thank you all for being here tonight, and I will now call to order the meeting of the Snohomish County Planning Commission for May 27, 2025. And Taylor, would you please call the roll?
Here.
Commissioner Namella.
Here.
Commissioner Sievers.
Here.
Commissioner Sheldon.
Here.
Commissioner Bastide.
Here.
Commissioner Bush.
Here.
And Chair Larson.
Here. Chairperson's report. I do not have a report. Public Oh, okay. Is that better? Is that better? Okay. I can really tell the difference when I pull it up. Public comments. Do we have anyone here that wishes to make a comment for anything that's not on tonight's agenda?
We did have two names on the general public comment sign-in, Brian Fockett and Steve B. I'm sorry. Close.
So we do have a couple of public comments?
Yes, were these for the general public comment?
They pertain to that stuff.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
of
'cause
them?
we'll-
Add your name to the list.
Okay. Okay. Next, we'll go to approval of minutes for April 2025. Any comments, observations, suggestions on the minutes for April 25? I'll declare those approved. Status of future agenda items and past recommendations. Sarah, are you going to handle that?
I will, yes. Good evening. My name is Sarah Titcomb. I'm a principal planner with Snohomish County PDS and the acting secretary for the Planning Commission tonight. There are a few upcoming topics of discussion for the June 24th Planning Commission meeting that include a hearing on the Roads and Access Code Amendment project that you'll be briefed on tonight, as well as briefings on places of worship, setbacks, commercial and industrial zone standards, and rural cluster subdivision and third-party certifications. Those are all code projects. There's also been one recent council action on Planning Commission recommendations that is listed within the action report you received today. That includes open space application that was heard on the 14th of May. And that concludes the upcoming topics as well as the council action.
Thank you, Sarah. Next item on our agenda tonight is our two public hearings. And the first one's non-conforming uses, and then the other one is the area-wide rezone. And I have a script that I need to read that amounts to instructions on how to proceed with the hearing. And before I read the script, I want to comment on what I saw. I'm speaking for myself, but I think my fellow commissioners saw the same thing. I want to thank you for the letters that we got and the emails, and they were excellent. We don't just tell us what you want to see, but you tell us why and how to do it. And I don't know how much wiggle room we have. I'm worried about it being a state law. But if we can find ways that we can make a recommendation based on your comments, both through the written comments and then what we hear tonight, we'll see if we can pass some of that on to the county council. And please do see this meeting is only the first of two big steps. The next one is the county council will make the final decision. So we'll make a recommendation, but don't just walk away when this is done. You guys are doing a great job so far. Hang in there and get in front of the county council too. It's a big deal. So I hope tonight is informative for us and for you, and let's proceed. I'll now read the instructions for the hearings. Tonight, there will be two public hearings. The first hearing will address the proposed code amendments related to non-conforming structures and uses. The second hearing will address proposed code amendments related to area-wide rezone. If you'd like to speak during a hearing, select raise hand. This is if you're online. Select raise hand at the bottom of your screen, *9, if you're calling in. When it's your turn to speak, the clerk will read your username and you will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Please start your public comment providing your name, city of residence, and if you're for or against a proposal. If you'd like to receive information from the Planning Commission regarding this proposal, please email the clerk, Taylor Twifford, whose email address is shown on her Zoom profile on tonight's agenda. You'll have another opportunity to provide public testimony during county council's public hearings. You can check the county webpage for scheduling. Thank you again for being here tonight and providing your valuable testimony. So our first hearing tonight is on what does that say here? Unfinished business, non-conforming uses. And we will begin this first hearing with a report from our staff. And Sarah Titcomb, go ahead and handle this one.
Yes. Again, Sarah Titcomb, Snohomish County PDS staff. I briefed the commission last month on the nonconforming uses and structures, to amending those sections of code in April, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have and to clarify a few points that were discussed last month. As a reminder, a nonconforming structure is one that met all the required development regulations such as building height and setbacks when it was built, although it no longer does. Similarly, a nonconforming use is one that was allowed when established, although is no longer allowed under current code. Structures and uses typically become nonconforming when there are zoning or development changes. The county's policy will continue to be that these structures and uses can remain for the life of the structure and even be expanded in some cases. I want to clarify a point in particular from last month, that this proposal will not remove existing rights to continue the use of a nonconforming structure or nonconforming use on a property. This code project was triggered by the currently inconsistent language within the code regarding how and if nonconforming uses can be expanded. The proposal removes that inconsistency and provides more detailed criteria for when the expansions can be permitted to aid in consistent implementation. It's also important to note that these sections of code have not been updated in some time, and there's this proposal adds important references such as to the shoreline management program and critical area regulations. So that's the summary of in a snapshot here of the code project. And if you have any questions, I'm also here to answer those too.
Thank you very much. Right now, we can move to questions for staff from planning commissioners. Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I will open the public hearing at 5:37, and would anyone like to speak on this topic as part of the public hearing? This is where you get your 3 minutes.
We did have two names. I just want to see if maybe they were for the others. Sonia and Laura. Zoning. Okay.
So no one to speak on this one?
I see one hand raised online. It just says iPhone.
Okay. Go ahead and speak. We see your hand up.
Yes, thank you for recognizing me. I'm actually for the second public hearing.
Okay, very good. So seeing no one else who wants to speak, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 5:37. And we move to discussion on this item. Anyone wish to discuss non-conforming uses at this time? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion? Go ahead. Was there a question back there? I think it's fine. I'll reopen the public hearing. Go ahead, come on up. This is non-conforming uses. Come on up to the microphone.
Greet you all. I'm glad you notified me because I was interested in this subject.
Okay. Pull the microphone right up by your mouth. Give it your name and your city of residence.
I'll press the button.
Good.
Press one more time. So it's green. It should show green. Yes. Yep.
There you go.
Okay. My name is Keith Weimer, and I live at 11607 Meridian Avenue South. Oh, okay. Okay.
Just
Okay.
put your mouth closer.
Yeah, get it right up by your mouth.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, my name's Keith Weimer. There we go. I was having trouble hearing the lady back there, so, but just want to mention, I'll sit a little closer. I enjoy building, so I enjoy what can happen in our counties. What we can do, if we do it right, we can do a good thing. I got two daughters with master's degrees. They would love to be still living at home. And one is. I got two houses. But regarding this non-conforming, is that I was rear-ended in 2021. So I've been recovering from a car rear-ended accident. That's the fourth time I've been rear-ended by criminals over a 10-year period. And so the first two I toughed out, last two nearly killed me. So I'm here today after 4.5 years, recovering the second time. And so that same year in 2021, I had one of my houses caught fire. And it had to do with some our grid system that it would, and some other items. So anyway, it was ruled an accidental fire. And so my insurance company gave me difficulty. And what I understand from the permit process is that if you don't apply for a permit after your house has been damaged the first year, then you're not qualified for that. So I would like to have this consideration that I'm dealing with an insurance company, I'm dealing with my recovery, and I basically would like to, I may have to postpone it until next year to get repairs because my insurance company basically has given me a great deal of trouble. And they want me to deal with a insurance agent clear back in Texas. And they want me to deal with my lender clear back in the back east. And so it doesn't make a lot of sense. Nobody's presently here, knows my conditions, what the situation is. I'm dealing with that. So I wanted to recover because I had a serious brain injury. The doctors and the attorneys wrote me off as dead for both times. And I'm here today. So, but now I'm coming up to about 80%, probably doing well. And so I just want, over the years, the planning department's been real good with me for everything I've had to do. But I just wanted to come to this meeting and say, if I could get an extension on the repairs, because I couldn't get a cooperation from any general contractors. I couldn't get a cooperation from the insurance company. They did everything they could do wrong. And so fortunately, I knew what they wanted to rip out everything in the house. And I asked him, you got to give me an estimate. And he says, well, it's just too much damage. We can't do that. Well, I said, well, then we can't go ahead with it because I got to know what's going to cost and how we're going to handle it. And I got to have proof that of what's actually damaged it. So I don't know whether it's a total loss or it's just can be repaired. It was an exhaust fan, burn up the attic, burn some trusses. So I've just let it sit since 2021. I just had keep my wife and my 2 daughters alive.
We're about at
what
time.
I wanted to do. So that's all I want to do is that just to say that I think that if there's, I'm sure, I'm hoping that from what I could get a variance on that idea that I can still permit on the repairs. But I just want to come up and show. So what it is, it's a guest house. So I wouldn't want that to change. And in the future, I'd like to maybe build something so both my daughters can have something, we pass on. So,
okay, thank you.
That's what I'm up here for.
Sarah, can you respond to the question about an extension on time to apply for?
Yeah, I can give you my email address and I can get you to the right people at the permitting staff who can help you with applications.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we'll close the public hearing at 5:48. Yes, sir. Did you have something?
Hello, my name is Ryan Howard. I live in Bothell. I have a small farm, 1957 farmhouse that I've been trying to preserve. Because of the build out in the area, it's caused a lot of wind. I have very large trees, and I had a large tree fall on my house. I'm in a similar situation to the prior gentleman where I have an insurance company dragging their feet. I don't know if it's a total loss. I'm trying to preserve the house, but some of the issues I have with the plan is, bringing the house up to ADA compliancy and sprinkler systems would fundamentally destroy the structure, and I don't know if that would would be even possible from an engineering standpoint. And I think one thing that's not being considered here is the insurance cost. For these older houses, it's going to drive up the insurance cost if you have to do a complete rebuild on the house. And it's very expensive. I build data centers. I'm very familiar. I build commercial buildings as well. Sprinkler systems, ADA ramps, they get very, very expensive on top of the damage already there. So I'd ask the council to consider the insurance ramifications when looking at this plan. And also, again, I would, in a similar situation, I would request an extension of time because the insurance companies are dragging their feet on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, do you want to be the contact on these?
Yes, I'm writing some notes here. You can email me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Any other speakers on this subject, non-conforming use? Okay, I'll close the hearing at 5:45. Thank you very much for both of you to speak. Okay, the hearing is closed. Do we have a discussion on non-conforming use? Councilmember Bush.
Just based on these comments, I've read through the changes and it seems broadly like it's just trying to clarify a lot of pretty vague spaces in the code currently. But I don't remember, is there a clear process for extensions for situations where someone's insurance is causing problems or they're having health issues and can't immediately start construction?
Not within the non-conforming uses and structures code, but there are review timelines and extensions that can be requested for permits in general. Yes.
Gotcha. And those extensions would also apply to non-conforming uses?
Yes. All
Okay.
permits.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the non-conforming uses and structures.
Moved by Commissioner Sheldon to approve the non-conforming uses and structures. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Sievers. Taylor, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bush,
Yes.
Commissioner Bastide,
Yes.
Commissioner Chandler,
Yes.
Chair Larson,
Yes.
Commissioner Namella,
Yes.
Commissioner Sievers,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sheldon.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Now we move to the next hearing and why most of us are here. This is excuse me, I may flip the page. Area-wide rezones, and with us we have Planner Frank Schulcher. Frank, go ahead.
Chair Larson, I'm going to share my screen here, and so that I can give a brief, very brief recap of the briefing. For the record, Frank Slusser, Snohomish County Planning and Development Services. We are here tonight for the public hearing by the Planning Commission on the proposed area-wide rezones to more fully implement urban medium and urban high-density residential designations on the adopted 2024 Snohomish County Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map. The Planning Commission was briefed at the April Planning Commission meeting, so I'm going to quickly recap the presentation prior to your hearing. The proposal tonight is for area-wide rezones to more fully implement the adopted 2024 Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, which includes generalized future land use designations planned for sufficient development capacity to accommodate the county's growth out to the year 2044. The land use element of the comprehensive plan identifies the permissible implementing zones for each future land use designation. For the urban medium density residential, or UMDR designation, the highest density implementing zone is the low density multiple residential zone, also known as the LDMR zone. For the urban high density residential, or UHDR designation in the comprehensive plan, the highest density implementing zone is multiple residential, or MR. In most cases, if those zones are not in place, developers will apply for a site-specific rezone prior to new housing development as part of the permitting process, which adds an extra step of approval to the process. The proposed area-wide rezones implement the urban medium and the urban high-density residential designations adopted in the plan. This review focused on the same areas that were part of the infill review for the 2024 update. That includes the high-capacity transit communities, regional geography in the Puget Sound Regional Council's Vision 2050, and also other areas that are served by transit. Certain zones are proposed to be retained and not rezoned in those medium and high density designations. And those include, or those are the mobile home park zone. There's no mobile home park zones proposed to be rezoned. The waterfront beach, one location that has an old zone called rural conservation. And also a few places have a townhouse zoning, which is consistent with urban medium density. So in those locations, in the urban medium density designation, that would be retained. Rezones are also proposed for adjacent public institutional use designated areas to be consistent with any surrounding rezones per the requirements in the comprehensive plan land use element. This table shows the acreages of the proposed rezones with current zoning on the left-hand side and proposed zoning in the middle. The majority of the rezones are to rezone from R7200 zoning to the LDMR zoning. There's also a significant area proposed to go from R8400, which is not a consistent zoning, up to LDMR. Roughly 3,500 acres are proposed for rezones to more fully implement the 2024 comprehensive plan. This will streamline the permitting process to build more housing by eliminating the need for rezone applications as part of the permitting process in areas where the comprehensive plan future land use map hasn't been fully implemented yet. This proposal is consistent with the spirit of multiple ongoing initiatives, the statewide level and the county level, to streamline permitting. For example, the Governor's Executive Order 25-02 to streamline permitting processes for housing development. This is implementation of the 2024 update, which had extensive public outreach for this proposal. Postcards were mailed to approximately 3,500 addresses, which are within or near the proposed rezones in order to provide notification of tonight's public hearing. On May 5th, 2025, addendum number 1 to the 2024 update environmental impact statement was issued, covering the State Environmental Policy Act requirements for this proposal. I would like to note that Commissioner Campbell sent an email ahead of tonight's hearing. He won't be here tonight, but provided some comments that were sent to the Planning Commission. To summarize, he noted that many of the proposed upzone areas include significant critical areas such as fish-bearing streams, riparian corridors, and wetlands. He noted that with the recent passage of the critical areas regulations by the County Council, it appears that the county could begin to ensure that zoning and critical area designations go hand in hand. He is in favor of the proposed upzoning to help smooth the permitting process. He wonders what it would take to integrate critical areas data into the upzone analysis and to at least flag parcels with significant known critical areas constraints. He concludes that this information would be helpful to builders and developers and may assist in determining the likelihood of buildable lands prior to critical area site design. I'd like to respond. The presence of critical areas was factored into the analysis for the comprehensive plan update, future land use map, adopted in 2024. At this time, the rezones are implementation of that future land use map that was already adopted. It is important that developers and those seeking to purchase property do their own due diligence in seeking out properties, and the county provides information by way of our interactive map portal on the county website, allowing users of that tool to overlay critical areas information with the zoning information in order to determine for themselves whether they believe that there would be buildable area on the properties. Further integration of critical areas with the zoning regulations would represent a significant new and different approach outside the scope of this zoning proposal. The newly adopted critical areas regulations, the stormwater drainage regulations, and requirement to develop on sewer when redeveloping properties within urban areas are appropriate regulatory approach for protecting critical areas. Finally, the Planning Commission has the options to recommend approval of the area-wide rezones, to deny the proposal, or to recommend denial of the proposal, or to amend the proposal with appropriate findings. The recommendation from Planning and Development Services is that following tonight's public hearing, the Planning Commission recommend approval of the proposed area-wide rezones with adoption of supporting findings, which are included in the staff report dated April 4th, 2025, that is linked to tonight's agenda. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Frank. Now, you've got your hand up. We're going to have the hearing in just a minute, if that's okay with you. Okay, because we're going to ask some questions to Frank, and then we'll go right to the hearing.
He's not taking.
Why don't you come up to the mic so we can hear you?
His presentation isn't working for the average homeowner.
Let me just stop you right there, okay? What we're doing tonight, this is for everybody to understand this. We are creating a public record that goes to the county council, and we want to do it right. What we pass on to them, I'm looking for understandable, clear messages to the county council.
Give two solid ones.
Okay, so if you take your seat now, let me open the public hearing, and then you're falling in line with everybody else. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Well, hold on just a minute. Yeah,
my question is that you said that this was implemented in December of 2024. Who decided that? Did we vote on it? The whole planning of this in December of 2024, 5 months ago. Did you decide it, or did we have a vote in it?
The county council adopted it in December 2024 after a approximately 5-year public process.
So this is based on the comp plan, which is the comprehensive plan that every jurisdiction is required to do to plan for growth in Snohomish County and meet our projected goals of growth. So this is based on it happens every 10 years. The comp plan is updated and their projections of growth and where we want growth. And that was worked on for, 5 years. And I know sometimes you don't always see it as a general public, unless you're like looking at the county website and checking in on that kind of stuff. And so this is based on that. That's based on state requirements for every jurisdiction to do. So Edmonds, Linwood, everyone does it. And so based on that, now we're implementing that. And so I think what we should do is wait until we finish our process for anyone else to come up and ask questions. And we'll address them as you guys, so we can follow the process that is outlined per our code. Thank you.
So how this works is in October of 2023, we had been looking at land use policy for 5 months. We broke it down into small pieces, chugged our way through it. In October, this room was full. People here to talk. We'd had numerous public hearings. I tried to go to the open houses, as many as I could. And where you really see the change is along I-5, because that's light rail. Like 80% of the growth is supposed to go there. So that night, guess what the line was? Back to the back of the room was talking about saving trees. But that night was the night that we proposed that we adopt the land use policies. And once you adopt those land use policies, what follows is regulations. And tonight we're talking about regulations. The policies are in place. I don't want to blame the state. I think I want to save rural lands. I see us continuing to grow. How do we manage it? And I want help figuring that out. If we can hear ideas from you guys tonight that we could maybe have an amendment to the motion. I've got some ideas, but I'm keep my little mouth shut until you're done talking. And so give it a chance here. I understand your frustration frustration, but we went through the policy side and now we're talking regulations. It's like this great big gear turns and tonight the other foot falls. And that's going to be really with county council. But right now, the formal process we're in part of is I have not opened the public hearing yet. We're still in a position where we ask questions of staff, of Frank, and we do have some questions for him. When that's done, then I'll open the public hearing and you guys have at it. We want to hear you. We have a list.
Off the list, and if you want to be added, you can be added to the list.
Yep. Want to hear from all of you. So any questions for Frank from us? Commissioner Bush?
Okay, so just for clarity, because it sounds like most of these places are being rezoned for low density multiple residential. That's correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what does low density multiple residential mean in terms of neighborhood development? What might people see being developed in those communities as a result of this change that wouldn't have been permitted before?
The most common types of development seen in LDMR zoning in the past has been what's called single family detached unit development. Actually, they used to be called LDMR development, which are detached single family houses, most commonly as condominiums. In the future, we expect that perhaps there could be more townhouses, so attached single family, because we do have new regulations that encourage that with incentives. LDMR also allows apartments, which if the lower density zones do not, in order to build those with the rezone, developers would need to use transfer development rights in order to take advantage of that.
Okay, so people could see taller buildings in these neighborhoods. Is that correct?
In some cases, although you can build townhouses up to 3 stories now in urban low density with R7200 zoning as well, but the density would be slightly higher in the LDMR. So,
gotcha. Thank you.
Is it true that townhomes can be purchased?
Townhomes can definitely be purchased fee simple, not as condominiums, just like a single family house with the more streamlined ability to get financing from banks or from the Federal Housing Administration.
Thank you. Any other questions at this time? Give me a minute. We're not ready yet. Just hold off, okay?
Not.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, hang on. You're going to speak first. I'll tell you that right now.
In like cul-de-sac neighborhood?
Ma'am, you need to be quiet. Give us a chance. I want to hear from you, but let's do it the right way.
How about this? Is
Commissioner
this an
Bush.
example of what we would see in LDMRs?
There they are right there.
Picture is.
This is an example of a townhouse development, correct?
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So any other questions? Okay, I'll now open the public hearing at 6:03, and I would love to hear you get back up at the microphone. Please come up. Yeah, come on up. Yeah, it's your turn. Yeah. I don't want you giving up. You need to hang in there. Come on. Yeah, no, let us have it.
So name,
address, and whether or not you're for or against the proposal.
So my name is Madeline, and I have lived in the same neighborhood for close to 30 years. Actually, I live in a cul-de-sac. It was what they call a bedroom community. Incrementally over the years, new people, of course, moved in, sold their homes, new people bought the homes, and incrementally, there's no rules and regulations about, of course, how many cars can be in a neighborhood on the street. So what happened, it was a very quiet little neighborhood 30 years ago, and now it's like hustle and bustle little cul-de-sac, still many, many, many more cars. Okay. So my fear is that what's going to happen is that if I sell my house, or if the people across the street sell their house maybe they're sitting on a half an acre, are they, whoever it is, going to start tearing that house down and building a multi-family dwelling, okay, which is going to actually actually lower the value of all the other homeowners. I know very little about this, but I do know that is true, okay? And that is what we all are afraid of. The elephant in the room is, will it reduce the quality of our lives, okay? And that, I mean, yeah, well, what's fair? I feel like decisions have been made. I never voted on this in December. I didn't even know what was happening. I mean, it's kind of like we made a decision and go suck a grape or whatever. Yeah, I mean, the decisions were made for us, and I don't think we have any say-so, which is not what a free country is all about. So that's all I have to say for now, but I'm sure I'll have more to say. Thank you for giving me a chance.
Okay, I'd like to address what you just said, if I may, or Frank, you might want to take over, but let me start and stop me if I go the wrong direction. There's a process called buildable lands in the county. It's actually set up by the state, and it's a computerized thing. It comes out of the assessor's office, and what they do is they look at every single lot, and they look at the improved value, which is your house, and the land value. That creates a formula. If the improvement value is less, I'll start out on the good news side. If the improvement value is worth more than the land, you have a positive number. It's very unlikely that that land will redevelop, because no developer is going to want to tear down a good house that's got value. They leave it alone. Now, if you look at the other side of it, let's say no improvement, or a crappy looking house, it's all run down and beat up. That improvement value might be half of the land value, and that creates an equation where an investor says, maybe I can buy that property. And that investor might look at 3 or 4 properties around it. Oh, look at this, a whole bunch of them don't have a lot of value. Their values are less than the land. I'm going to buy all 6 of them. That's when you start seeing the redevelopment. If your house is in good shape and it's worth more than the land, the chance of it redeveloping is very nil. So any of you can go onto the assessor's webpage, look that up, and you can do it, and look at your improvement value over your land value. It's a simple equation. If it's more than 1, you're probably going to be fine. If it's less than 1, start thinking about strategies. Sure.
I would also like to add that you have one chance to speak, and you have 3 minutes. So you had a minute left if you did want to finish, but you're not. It's 1 chance and 3 minutes. Yeah. You get 1 chance and 3 minutes to talk.
You want to say some more? You want to jump up again?
And there's 1 minute left if you want.
No.
More comment about it, and that is, does anybody watch Yellowstone? Has anybody watched Yellowstone? I feel a little bit like John Dutton, on a very small scale. I know but it's true. It's like we work hard. We have our home. We pay taxes, huge now every year. Bigger property taxes. And then, we have no say-so in the people that sell the houses across the street or next door to us in either direction. And then all of a sudden, their house isn't valued as high, like you said, but the property is worth more. All of a sudden, multi-family housing, which is not what, I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't think we really are into that, having multifamily housing around us.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, now here's what I hope you'll do is I want to hear from everybody, and I want to be equal about it. Okay, if you feel like you've had your time, let's give everybody else a chance. Ma'am, did you have your hand up? Give us your name and where you're from.
Edmonds, Washington. My name's Lorene. I'm interested in speaking about what you have presented so far. You said that online for seniors. Are you people aware that there's a lot of seniors that are not online people? You're making decisions. You're saying you need to look at this, you need to look at that. You're not thinking about what's the needs of a senior citizen is in order to understand what you're presenting. The other thing is the terminology. You're saying 2,000 square foot or 2,000 something for a land for LR. That's your code. You're not giving us a name. You're not giving us an address. You're not giving us a description. You're not telling us how many houses you're planning on putting that 2,000 whatever it was. You're not giving us what the layman terminology. You're giving it for what your reference is, not for ours. So we can't fight for our own area if we don't know what is applied to us. We have lots of these 400 square foot plots in our area, and they put in 5 multi-family homes on one lot. You take one lot and add 5 homes. We live on a 2-lane road that is a straight access to I-5. We are running approximately, it used to be 30,000. I think it's closer to more like 40,000 cars a day on that. We don't have room for emergency vehicles. Are you going to divert some of this traffic? Are you going to push it down to Edmonds Way? We're not a freeway. We're 2-lane. The cross section on 220th is 76th. It's 2-lane in front of the hospital. How are we going to accommodate these cars? Are you giving us that? The other part of it, are you coordinating with Edmonds? We're on the border between Snohomish County and Edmonds. Edmonds, there was an 8-acre lot. Half of it was sold. I don't know if it was 4 or 8 was sold. Housing Authority bought it. They want to put in 20 low-income housing or affordable housing is the way they do it. They have not described what that entails. Is Snohomish County coordinating with Edmonds to take care of this traffic flow? It takes me 20 minutes to get a minimum from my house to the freeway. It takes me 10 to 15 minutes alone to get out of my driveway. What are you planning for? How are you going to take care of us? How are you going to accommodate us? Are you thinking in the future so much about where you're going to put these bodies, but you're not caring about what we're going to do with it?
Would you allow me to ask you to stop?
Yes.
I get your point. I hear you 100%. The only thing I can think of doing, 2 things. Maybe Frank can ask your question about coordinating with Edmonds. Also, I respect what you're saying about seniors not having access to online information. And before you leave tonight, you sound like you're pretty wound up. You're angry. If you could find someone to talk to, like Frank or some staff person, would that help? So, I mean, what I'm worried about is you feel like you're isolated from information. You need a phone number or somebody you can call.
I'm interested in these people and the hundreds of thousands of people in all these communities that are going to have one house sold that's a half an acre or more, and they're going to try and stuff 12 residences on that when these people are used to their single family homes in a neighborhood. That's what I'm concerned about. You're not planning on roads. You're not planning on exits. You're not planning on diversion. You're not planning anything. How are we going to divert this traffic from these family residences to a main road so they can get to the I-5?
I really wish we could just sit over a cup of coffee. For one thing, we spent 5 months breaking this stuff down. The engineers talked to us. No, we've got this, we've got that. I never had a feeling that there was a panic over this. The biggest problem we've got is, do we want to preserve rural lands because we're continuing to grow?
Your
and
job is
how do
to...
we do it? But just let me tell you this too, and I'm hoping I can get some respect from you guys. You're tough. Is we are a volunteer group. We are your neighbors. We're not here to pound this down your throat.
And save our homes.
So give us a chance.
Save our communities. Save our people. This is ridiculous.
Come back in 20 years. I mean,
yeah, come back.
I think we're at a tipping point right now in the Northwest.
No, we're gone from one lot per family. It's been 5 now, and now you want to put it to 12.
Okay.
In 20 years, it's going to be an apartment building.
Please stop. Please stop. You've had way more time than what's fair for everybody else. We've got a room full of people. Can you let them speak?
Please.
I hear you, but I want to hear other people too. Who's next to speak?
Karen Zolman.
Come on up.
Yeah, Karen Zolman. I live in Esperance. And I am a little concerned about, I get at least a call a week, and I have a very nice home on about a third of an acre. And we're just being hit hard by developers wanting to buy. So I don't think, like when you're talking about your ratio or whatever, it's like, I don't think that's true. I think they're trying to build. And my big concern is the traffic and the numbers of cars that are parking on the street, because they're developing every inch of these lots that they get. And there's no room for visitors or anything like that. There's a real problem with emergency vehicles being able to get around. And, I'm real worried about the services that will go with this higher density. And that it's just going to change the whole livability. We've had some developments go in with the 3-story monster, and they don't look anything like the neighborhood, and they're kind of hideous. And, if they were bringing in houses that match the area, yeah, I'm not opposed to my neighbors subdividing their lot or whatever and building another house or something like that. But when we start talking about changing it from one house on a lot to 5 or 12, it's not just the density of housing, it's everything that goes with it.
Thank you very much, and very well said. It's
Carrie
really not
Wilson?
for me to be engaged with counter comments right now. I don't think it's smart for me to do that. I think we need to hear from you guys and let you speak, okay? And then when this is all done, then we'll try to respond. So with your permission, I'd like to stay quiet and we'll just call the next name. Go ahead.
Do I push the button?
No.
Is it on?
It should be green.
It's on. Okay, my name is Carrie Wilson. I live, I'm a resident of the Linwood of the unincorporated Snohomish County. Been there for 10 years. Dear members of the council and the planning department, I am here in regard to the 2025 rezoning of the southwest unincorporated Snohomish County. I am opposed to this new zoning. The area has been rezoned to LDMR, which is low density multi-residential, and there are many problems with this zoning. First, I'm going to name a few. First, traffic. This will increase traffic to a level our area cannot accommodate. The new townhomes that are developed are quite large, 4-bedroom, 3-bath houses with a very tiny 1-car garage. A 4-bedroom home family will generally have more than 1 car, so where will the other cars park? They will park on the surrounding streets. That will make navigating these streets extremely difficult. More people creates more driving traffic on already congested roads. Traffic due to grocery shopping, taking children to after-school activities, sports, going to the park, the beach, or even visiting your family. The light rail does not alleviate the traffic for these activities. The second being crime, and this is a very big one. The policing service for the unincorporated Snohomish County is the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. They are extremely unmanned. They do not have the manpower to service the current population. They have expressed this situation to the Snohomish County many times over. A higher density population will create longer response times, placing the citizens' safety at risk. I am seriously concerned about this possibility. I am an international mentor, and I house international students as they attend a higher education over at Edmonds College. I do not want my students to encounter a higher crime rate. A family living in another country is trusting me to protect their children, and I take that trust very seriously. Third one being school overcrowding. Many of the schools in the targeted unincorporated Snohomish County are overcrowded and cannot absorb more students. A higher student-teacher ratio places our students at risk of failing. The fourth section is prices of, quote, affordable housing. I see these townhomes being built in my neighborhood. They're quite tall and quite large, and they're very expensive. The 4-bedroom townhomes are a starting price of $650,000. A $650,000 home at 6% interest will be a mortgage approximately $5,700. Your mortgage should be no more than 40% of your net income. If $5,700 is your mortgage, then you're going to need a net income of $11,000 per month. Which I don't know many people who have that. This will require both parents to work, leaving the children they are raising to be home alone a lot of the time. Children left alone have a high chance of getting into a lot of trouble, and we see that a lot in our area. 5, the risk of existing mature homes prices decreasing. More homes availability will decrease the market value of homes. Simple supply and demand. The more product, the cheaper the price. The less availability, the higher the price. The history regarding this affordable housing, and I'm going to put in quotation marks, has been addressed by the Snohomish County multiple times over with no avail. The North Everett, quote, affordable housing that turned that neighborhood into, quote, the projects, unquote, is an area riddled with drugs and crime. And this is the area northeast of Everett Community College.
Quick question.
Yes.
How close are you to being done?
1 minute.
You're over time. I don't want to cut you off. I really don't. You're doing a great job.
Can I borrow somebody else's 1 minute?
Yeah. I mean, you can be.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to wrap it up. That's all we ask.
All right. It was the area that I'm talking about was created. It was created as affordable housing and then turned into Section 8 housing in the 1980s and 90s. Now, Casino Road, that Casino Road in Everett is case in point. I remember a time when affordable housing was created there. There were a lot of mobile home parks. It was then developed into Section 8 housing with a plethora of apartments built to accommodate Section 8. Casino Road is an area of high crime and drugs now. We have addressed this issue with multiple times without viable and acceptable results. Lost my thing. I will not risk my home and my community to the credible chance this will yet again be a failed attempt. I know you think you're doing right by your actions, and I believe these actions will do more harm than good. The 2024 Comprehensive Plan Policy as part of Division 2050 will not benefit the property taxpayers. The return of investment will be minimal and non-beneficial for the individuals paying into it. I'm a registered voter and homeowner. The rezoning actions of the Snohomish County Council and planners place my neighborhood, my home, and my family's safety at risk. It's unacceptable. And I will remember this when it comes time to vote. Please rethink the rezoning of southwest corner of unincorporated Snohomish County. I will state that planning a dense population based on RTC, which is rapid transit centers, will impact this area negatively. Do I personally have another solution? No, not yet. I respectfully submit to you to request to gather ideas from the taxpayers to collectively formulate a successful plan. If we, the taxpayers, are footing the bill, then we have a right to be involved and make these choices. I was not involved until now, but I have a vested interest in the future of my home, and I thank you for waking me up to that reality. Again, rethink the rezoning of the southwest corner of unincorporated Snohomish County. I thank you for your time, the extra time. Kind regards.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Brian Fockett.
Brian Fawcett. Am I okay here? I currently reside in Mill Creek off of 132nd between 35th and Seattle Hill Road. My wife and I have owned a townhome there for the last 10 years. This is kind of a case study in how a neighborhood can change. Nothing new that my constituents haven't said here, but in 2018, 2019, they put in approximately a 300 to 500 unit apartment complex just down the road at a development called The Farm. And the cautionary tale here is how it changes the whole dynamic of the neighborhood.
Louder.
Yes, how it changes the whole dynamic of a neighborhood. Traffic, nothing new that I'm adding here. My one constituent who lives in Edmonds recently took me an hour to get from the Edmond-Kingston ferry to home going the back roads. On a good day driving I-5, I can get down to Tacoma in the same amount of time. It's and the apartments that have gone up, no regard for aesthetics. This is a modern day Stalingrad. You have canyons of apartment buildings that have completely changed the dynamic of the neighborhood. These apartments butt up to some rather nice homes that are these apartments 5 stories tall, looking down on the homes. I think the developers are really they have no responsibility for infrastructure development, such as roads, security, things like that. Recently, my wife and I looked at possibly moving out to Smoky Point. Nice little retirement community there. When it took me 5 minutes to get through the stoplight off the freeway, and I realized how rapidly that area was developing, it was a non-starter for us. I'm to the point now, and this is not a diatribe against affordable housing or renters. We rented at the Reserve for 2 years when we were in transition. We would consider renting now just because property taxes being what they are. That's a viable option for us. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at Wallace, Idaho, because Snohomish County is rapidly becoming King County, Pierce County, or Clark County. It is a soulless
20 seconds.
It is a soulless place to reside now. And I'm not sure that what our role here is in accommodating growth. How far do we go to accommodate growth before people finally just say, I can't live here? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My biggest fear when I hear you guys is you're going to burn out and not go to county council. That was a powerful statement, and you're all doing that. Just remember, we're not going to make a decision tonight. We're going to make a recommendation. You need to go to county council because I hear you. Okay. Who's next to speak?
Council meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think it's scheduled, is it?
It has not yet been scheduled, but parties of record will know. Parties of record will be notified by the council staff, I believe.
That
means everyone who's made a comment or signed up to be a party of record will be notified of the council proceedings.
So if you have signed up on the sign up sheet, you'll be notified. So it depends on what happens here. Maybe we make a decision tonight and then it will get scheduled with council and you'll be notified when it's scheduled. Maybe we take a recess and it goes till next month and then that's going to push it out. So as long as you've signed up on the sign up sheet or emailed in a comment, you will be notified. And
so 50.
People have been notified who live in the area. I think that was on the presentation.
No.
We're going to move back to the comments. If you've already made a comment, please go to the county council comments.
I don't want to get in.
And it's probably going to happen. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
We all know that it's going to happen. And no matter how much we protest, okay? But I want to know, when is it going to start? That's all. I want to know, is it going to be a year from now, 6 months from now?
It's already started. It's already started.
Okay, so it can happen any day now. If one of our neighbors sells a house and it's a nice big lot, the house looks like a dump, they're going to put a multifamily dwelling on 12 family.
No, you're asking. Okay, first of all, let's. I'm worried that we're going to lose control here. We need to be very respectful. Okay, I need some respect. I'm respecting you guys. Let me finish. Let me finish here. Please make sure you signed up on the sign up sheet tonight. That's the first thing. I feel your frustration, but we're not going to get through tonight. If you sign up on the sign up sheet, you'll get the notice when the county council hears it. They'll pass whatever they're going to do. And then after that is when the law takes effect. And you guys are talking to each other and you're not listening. Yeah, I'm trying to be respectful.
But you're making a decision for us today.
We are making a recommendation tonight, county, and you will be. Wow.
This is part of public process to hear from all of you. And that's the chapter we're in right now, is to listen to you. So if we could move on, it would be great because then everyone gets a chance to do so.
Right.
Steve Bragalong.
So yeah, who speaks next? Who's up next? And welcome.
Thank you. So Steve Bragalone, I live in the unincorporated area just on the west side of 99, 156th Street Southwest. I think one of the pieces that I'm hearing, and I prepared some comments, and if I have extra time, I'll give it to somebody else here. But I think one of the big pieces that's very clear is that there needs to be some type of reimagining of how we communicate to the citizens around here. Because I'm not a senior, and I'm glad you're all here, and thank you for being here. But I think your kids need to be here, your grandkids need to be here, because I am very connected into communication and technology, and I had no idea these things were going on until my neighbor made me aware of it. I've noticed the houses that, and I appreciate what you referenced there. There's a very nice house on 44th on an acre of property that's going to become a 12-unit building here very soon. It's not because of the condition of that home. It's because the developer is giving more money than somebody who would buy that for. I'm seeing a lot of changes in the neighborhood. I have 3 kids. I raised them in that community there. We've watched the land around us disappear, the green space. We've watched the coyotes now come out in the daytime, not at night. And it's not because they're aggressive. It's because they're hungry and they don't have anywhere to go. We're seeing species of bird disappear. I had pileated woodpeckers that would come into our condo association that haven't been there for several years now. All down 44th, the homes where our neighbors have lived have been sold to developers, and those single family units have turned into multiple family units. Retaining walls are butting up against people's property. The visual aspects of it are causing them to want to sell and move out. We got to understand what we're going to do for the people who actually live here now. Take a moment and breathe and understand what we're going to do first to ensure that the people who invested already are taken care of, and then we can grow. I'm not against growth. I think it's great, but we got to do it differently. We have to reimagine it. It's turning into an area where it's going to be unrecognizable for anywhere else. Pacific Northwest features of the evergreen trees, the views of the mountains and the water. And when all these buildings go up, we can't see them. And you don't know where you're at. You don't know if it's Ohio, Idaho, or Iowa here. 19 seconds. The graffiti that is happening everywhere, the litter that's happening, the traffic that is continuing to take place. I worked at the Space Needle for almost 16 years. It was worse getting into Linwood sometimes than getting on the highway. So I'm out of time. I appreciate you hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
Sonia Tangent?
Yes, hi, my name is Sonia Tangent. I live in Esperance, and I was born there, and I bought my parents' house, and now I'm raising 3 kids there with my husband. So I've watched this neighborhood my entire life, and it's a wonderful place to grow up. And being in the center of Edmonds, it's an incredibly desirable place to live. And because it is unincorporated Snohomish County, we've always enjoyed a certain amount of freedom. Before the change, we could light off fireworks. It was great. It was a crazy town. But then as more and more people have moved in and the building has increased, it got a little out of hand. So I'm all for the fireworks going away. That's okay. And my kids got to sleep. So, mom here. Anyways, traffic and infrastructure is very concerning with this development. I would like to say that the infrastructure is not there if we do a sweeping rezoning of Esperance. The infrastructure is not there to support the increased traffic that is there, as well as we live on a 4-way stop, and we watch people drive through that stop sign every day. 3 weeks ago, at my son's 5th birthday, we watched a car clip another car, go airborne, and crash in front of my neighbor's house. And I'd like to say this is unique, but I've lived there my entire life, and I see it at least once a month, an accident there. And it takes an hour for Snohomish County Sheriff to support us. The fire station is great, but it takes an hour for the sheriff to support us. Nothing against them, but they got a long way to go. Esperance should be considered unique. And these unincorporated areas that don't have the infrastructure and support and police support that other areas do, we can't accommodate the sweeping rezoning that is being proposed here. I think that Esperance should be retained. I think that was your language, that maybe a proposal should be set forth that this should be looked at differently because we would increase traffic and population, but we don't have any of the supporting features, and it's incredibly unsafe as well. I could go on about all the, the look of the neighborhood, the feel of it, the overcrowding, all of that stuff. But mostly, I just don't want to be afraid to cross the street. Like I literally have my kids in my hands, and my husband and I cannot cross the street without getting a pit in our stomach because we've watched too many accidents there, and we don't have being out in Snohomish County, we don't have the same eyes on our area as, our surrounding Edmonds area does, that's serviced by Edmonds Police. We've also seen acres of land clear cut. There should be code improvements if we are going to set forth this rezoning, code improvements related to tree preservation, because we've seen stuff clear cut. We've seen streams literally filled in. This is inappropriate. So we need to do better. And if we're going to allow the rezone, we need to improve all the codes that go along with it to protect these things. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Laura Neff.
Hi, I'm Laura Neff, and I live in Esperance also. I don't want to repeat the masses here, but I do want to just say that our roads where I live are 2-lane, and there are fire trucks, and there are no sidewalks mostly. If there is a new build of these high-rise houses, they have this little tiny strip of sidewalk that goes nowhere. And so the people have nowhere to park. They park on this little tiny sidewalk that's half on the sidewalk, half on the road. The fire trucks that are right there can't get through because there's cars parked where they're not supposed to park. So parking cars, it's all a safety issue. When you have a bowling alley lot and you put 6 buildings or 4 buildings on this lot that's not even an acre, how is safety trucks going to get back to that back lot back there? There's just not enough room to have this massive amount of housing on a small lot. Sorry about my voice, but that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Going to our online, Missy.
Go ahead, Missy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Okay. Hello. My name is Missy Borgeltz. I live off of 112th Street in South Everett, and I am against this regulation. I first want to say that the pros of these conversations that we're having is we can't escape the fact that there are many people moving to Washington, and the light rail is headed this way. Like, people are going to be moving there. And my peers, I'm 35 years old, my peers are having trouble finding affordable homes. So keeping this in a small neighborhood type feel is going to be difficult. So we appreciate that you guys are having these conversations and having these meetings. That being said, my neighborhood specifically just got to experience what it's like to have one of these places rezoned. In 2020, I bought my first home here, and in 2021, they rezoned right across the street from me into a high density area and built a low income housing. This had a zoning meeting ahead of time where my neighbors came forward and expressed concerns. And after that meeting, they still built. This apartment complex has 117 apartments. The parking spaces that they've allowed is only 174. That means they only have at least one parking spot for most of the units, and the bedrooms are up to 5 per unit. 14 of those apartments are 5-bedroom homes. 24 of those apartments are 4-bedroom homes. So when you add them all up, it is 347 bedrooms that only have 174 parking spaces. That includes the new resident parking, the handicap parking, and employee parking for the maintenance staff, the office staff, the managers, and the contractors. So what we experienced is parking became a really bad problem, and it overflowed into our community. The other points that I want to make, so what we are specifically, my neighbors and I are against this is because at this current moment, every single time someone wants to build one of these places, they have to have a specific meeting to go over the zoning. And with this passing, that would eliminate the need for them to do that. We don't think that that should be allowed. We think that parking needs to be addressed. There needs to be stricter regulations. Currently, sorry, I know my time's almost up. I'll just get to a couple more points. Currently, most of our homes have their own septic systems, so we do not have sewage that can accommodate for this. And then utilities and the police, and just mimicking what everyone else said, it's not that we don't want this to be able to accommodate the people that are living here. It's that other things need to take place first before we green light just opening that up to anybody who wants to, just build without having to go through the individual zoning process.
Thank you, Missy. Are you done?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We hear you. Who's next?
Bridget.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is Bridget Hannafin. I live in unincorporated Snohomish County, near 150 and 18th, kind of by the Ashway Park and Ride. I'm a lifelong resident of South Snohomish County in the unincorporated areas. I grew up here and have seen it really change from a bedroom community into a more dense space. And I'm one of the people we're talking about where, I can't afford to live in the house that I grew up in. I need some of these smaller, denser communities to live in. But I'm really interested in having a place to live and a community to live in, and not just have housing upon housing upon housing. As I look at what's been built in my neighborhood, we've had a couple of apartment buildings built in the last 10 years, one called Urban Center, which only has a parking garage at the ground floor. There's no retail, there's no restaurants, there's no places for people to gather. I think that's driving what we're seeing, where people feel like they have to hop in their car and sit in traffic to go anywhere. Where I'd like to live is a neighborhood that has a community feel, that has these amenities in them. And what I'm seeing is that the current zoning does not require these retail spaces or these gathering spaces. It only requires the retail space and the option for these other types of land use. So what I'm asking for is that if we have these neighborhoods with increased density, that these walkable neighborhoods need somewhere to walk to. These communities need somewhere for people to gather and live. And we need to keep the public and institutional land that's on the current map and not replace our schools with additional housing. So as we grow that density, we would like to see those amenities come with. We'd like to see the county be stewards of our land and drive developers who maybe are there for a one-off development and move on to instead create these opportunities for people to have a place to gather. So yeah, thank you. And I just want to make sure that we're thinking of all those uses for the land and not just housing.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Bond.
Okay, we see a name Bond. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the time. My name is Bond Huberman. I live in Esperance off 222nd Street Southwest. I oppose the proposed change. I think it is too broad an allowance. I think site-specific applications are appropriate for developers to make sure to make such enormous changes to our neighborhood. I understand the virtue of density. We have to grow and grow wisely. But at pivotal moments like this, we have to be careful to separate talking about density and enabling tactics of developer greed. I fear this blanket zoning change is developer greed dressed in density's clothing. I have an example around the corner from my house. 2 lots were already rezoned to LDMR. In place of 2 homes, we saw a conservative 10 houses go up, 2 stories each. These homes consume every inch of land, just about, of their plot. So even if the new homeowners wanted to plant a tree to replace those that were raised, they can't. These homes are built right up to the edge of their fence lots, looming over the neighbors. Also, these homes were listed for more than $1 million each. So if density is supposed to increase affordability, I don't see it in that example. I see developers selling less for more, the definition of greed. My heart goes out to the house on the other side of that fence. The mature trees were torn down. The sky is blocked by a cliff face of gray walls. Their house and garden now sits in a shadow that was not there before. Please, to everyone making this decision, imagine yourself standing at that neighbor's fence in the shadow with no power or voice to shape it. Omitting site-specific review is prioritizing developer profitability over people's quality of life. Please don't wipe away our voices with such a broad rezoning. Put the burden on the developers to facilitate community buy-in. If they want our homes so badly, they will make the time to talk to us. Leave site-specific approval in place. Make growth about improving life for all of us, not making business more expedient for some. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
The next one just says iPhone.
Okay, we see iPhone on hand. Go ahead and speak.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Christy Malchow, and I own property in unincorporated Snohomish County near Martha's Lake. And I'm here to express strong support for the proposed area-wide rezones under consideration. While I recognize that many neighbors have concerns about change, the reality is that change is not optional, it is required. The Growth Management Act, enacted by the legislature, not the county council, mandates that cities and counties plan for population growth and provide sufficient housing capacity to meet current and future needs. Right now, Washington State is facing a housing deficit of more than 251,000 homes. A staggering 80% of families can no longer afford to buy a home in this state. This crisis has been exaggerated by restrictive zoning and the regulatory costs that drive up the price of new construction, now exceeding $200,000 per home, on top of a median sales price of nearly $691,000. By increasing capacity for additional dwelling units, particularly near transit corridors and major routes like I-5, Snohomish County has a clear opportunity to be a part of the solution. These rezones will not only help alleviate the housing shortage, they also generate new revenue for the county through permitting fees, property taxes, and impact fees. These revenues reduce property tax burdens for existing residents. Given that the county council recently utilized bank capacity to increase property taxes, this additional revenue should be viewed as a benefit, not a burden for taxpayers. And it is growth paying for growth and not on the backs of taxpayers. To comment relative to reducing property values, this is actually the opposite of what this does. It increases property values because the dirt to which each house sits on becomes more valuable, not less. concerns about trees and birds, etc. This is the very crux of the Growth Management Act, and I invite my neighbors to better understand the confines to which this commission and the council have to operate under. There is a gross misunderstanding about this process and things like required parking spaces. No doubt it is confusing and complex, but this is not at the feet of this commission nor the county council, but rather your legislators. And I encourage you to contact them, which can be done by visiting www.ledge.wa.gov. Concerns about traffic are understandable, but impact fees, which for the public are fees paid by developers when they build dwelling units. And these exist specifically to fund necessary infrastructure upgrades. Growth pays for growth when it's planned properly, as is being done here. Transportation service areas, or TSAs, have its own fee schedule, reflecting the specific infrastructure needs and projected growth of that area. The average single-family home has 10 trips per day, meaning $3,600 in impact fees in one of those TSAs. One home, one-time fee. Ongoing property tax revenues.
Ma'am, can I stop you?
Almost done. Ongoing property tax revenues offsetting what myself and my neighbors will have to pay in the future. Impact fees also apply to schools. They do capital facilities plan annually. The county council approves them. Development pays impact fees to pay their impact on those schools, offsetting what property owners have to pay. Growth pays for growth. In closing, these proposed zoning changes are a responsible and necessary step to meet Snohomish County's obligation under the comprehensive plan, while also addressing one of the most pressing crises facing our state. Thank you for your time, and I urge you to support this proposed area-wide rezones.
No. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
Who's next?
It says Kathy's iPhone.
Kathy, go ahead. Kathy, are you there?
She's muted.
Hi, sorry. Kathleen Lester Edmonds. I'm against the county area-wide rezones. I live half a block north of Esperance, unincorporated Snohomish County. I've lived here for 25 years. The blanket rezoning proposed for unincorporated areas of Snohomish County does not benefit existing residents of Snohomish County and the residents of cities that surround these areas. This zoning will inevitably cause the loss of a huge percentage of our tree canopy, even with guardrails in place to make developers pay fines, say, for canopy loss, or to require developers to replace mature trees with saplings. It does nothing to truly mitigate the loss of these mature trees. This zoning is not about affordability. This is about increasing density. And I'm really not interested in increasing density without guaranteeing a robust percentage of affordable housing units. The proposed zoning will ultimately benefit developers, giving them carte blanche to develop properties to the fullest extent they're able to per the zoning. It will strip residents of their rights and ability to fight development that does not fit with the character of their neighborhood and that will negatively impact their quality of life. I wonder, does this rezoning fulfill the requirements of the state's Growth Management Act, or does it exceed the requirements? Targeted zoning makes more sense, concentrating increased density in areas that already have the infrastructure. Most of Esperance does not have the infrastructure required. The streets, stop signs, traffic lights, sidewalks, bike lanes, etc. I regularly walk along 220th Street Southwest, and I regularly cross the street, both as a pedestrian and as a driver. It's very difficult to cross at certain times of the day due to heavy vehicle traffic. Adding hundreds or perhaps even thousands of housing units to Esperance would increase traffic on a road that is already at capacity. This will decrease safety for drivers and for pedestrians. And the pedestrians that I'm most concerned about are school children. I would never let my own children cross 220th without a parent present, and that was several years ago. And today 220th is busier than ever. I also see that Esperance Park itself would be rezoned. I did hear back from a county planner that this rezone project, quote, does not change the future land use designation of public institutional use for the park, unquote. So then I would ask that the zoning of the park not be changed to LDMR. Zoned as LDMR, it would be easier for the county to have this park redeveloped at some point in the future. And as we have seen in the city of Edmonds, proposals to sell parks for development will be met with fierce resistance from the community. So I urge the Planning Commission to adopt targeted zoning that hews to the minimum standards required by the state and to implement targeted rezoning in appropriate areas. I also urge the commission to remove Esperance Park and any other park within unincorporated Snohomish County from being rezoned. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Taylor, who's next?
Natalie Reber.
Natalie, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Hello, my name is Natalie Reber, and I'm here tonight representing the Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish counties. And we're here in support of the proposed area-wide rezones as a practical and necessary step to align the zoning with the 2024 comprehensive plan. By enabling a broader range of housing types, this proposal will increase housing capacity, reduce permitting delays, and help address Snohomish County's affordability crisis. We urge the timely adoption. Further, I'd like to thank the staff, this commission, and the County Council for the work that you have done to plan for the 1 million people that are expected to be living in Snohomish County by 2044. I would like to point out that some people talking here tonight have spoken well past their time, and there's been a tremendous lack of respect for the Volunteer Planning Commission. The process for the 2024 comp plan was robust. There was public outreach strategy, including in-person open houses and multiple public workshops and hearings. You've had numerous opportunities to be heard. Where will you have your children living in Snohomish County in 10 or 20 years? Do you wish for your children or grandchildren to live here? If the answer to that is yes, then you should understand the need for additional housing to enable them to do so. We look forward to further reviewing the maps and the next steps in this process. Thank you.
Next up is Patrick.
Who's next?
Patrick.
Patrick, go ahead. Patrick, you're there. Go ahead.
Patrick, we can't hear you. All right, let's go to someone else and we'll come back. Pam and John Greer.
Okay, Pam and John, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Pam Gear here. I live in South Everett, and I just want to say that, first of all, I agree with the seniors. I am a senior citizen. I borrowed a computer so I could attend this meeting. I would have known nothing about it had it not been for a postcard, actually 3 of them in the mail. I own 2 homes right off of 112th Street Southwest. And years ago, 8 years ago, I believe, we all went to a public hearing regarding Holly Ridge Apartments and their affordable housing that they were going to build. Nobody listened to a word. This is all just lip service. Everybody there, and especially the ladies in the front, I want to thank you and Bond for your honest discussions. This is only to make a check mark in a box so they can say they held a public hearing. As far as I'm concerned, developers in Snohomish County are the greediest people you've ever met. First of all, we were promised prior to Holly Ridge being built on 112th Street in the city of Everett. We're not, because we're on the other side. There would be ample parking. Sure, there would be. I spoke twice at that meeting, first and last. And you know what? All of our notes are going to be taken down and they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to go straight to some round file. Second of all, we're worried about graffiti, traffic, crime, drugs. I'm so opposed to this plan because guess what? Everything came true and their lawyers sat there and played games on their phones because I stood next to one of them. Well, they promised us that there would be plenty of parking. There would be no crime. All of their affordable housing, they interview people. We've got the biggest drug problem. I work with the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office as a volunteer to inform them of this kind of this stuff going on. My neighbor who spoke a few minutes ago has graffiti all over her brand new fence. We've got crime to beat the band, loud cars that are over there pulling out and in, burning tires, doing donuts in the middle of 112th. We've had power outages. My husband and I bought both of the houses in 1989. we never had a power outage until Holly Ridge got built. Now we got racers up and down 112th, and we've had power outages to beat the band. First, I just want to say highly opposed to your ideas here, and thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Up next, it just says Snowco resident.
Hey, my name's Tony. I live in Martha Lake, like the person who spoke a couple before me. I am against this proposition. I do think the commissioners here that are volunteering and taking this heat, if you will. What I can say is, I think it was Madeline who spoke first. I mean, I'm watching firsthand homes get bought up by developers and then immediately a 9 or a 5 townhome proposition put in. I'm a little bit younger, so I think the head commissioner who was saying, we're getting some heat we weren't expecting. Candidly, it's 5:30 on a weeknight. I'm getting home from work, got to help my wife with our kids. I'm logging on here. So my sense is probably there's a lot of people here who are not able to voice their opinion. If they even know about it, only saw because I had a postcard in my inbox. You mentioned something at the beginning about an amendment, right? Because it sounds like this goose is potentially cooked. My amendment recommendation here would be a tax on the developers for each unit. So for example, the 5 townhome unit that they want to put on a lot, 20-30% per unit. For the people that are being affected where the trees are being cut down, potentially some royalties for everyone on the street and behind them that are affected. I can't remember which lady it was, but the developers are absolutely reaching out. And I think there's 2 things for a younger person who's thinking about the long-term vision of what this county is going to be, is we keep saying a home, a home, a home. The sense I'm getting is that the home is just 4 walls and a roof where you watch Netflix. I mean, is a home something where you have a yard where your kids play in, or are you just staring into your neighbor's kitchen from your other townhome? The other component on I think it was the King County Builders Association, whoever it was that was advocating for, I want my grandkids and great grandkids to be here. I want them to have an actual home, not just some townhome, if you will. The birth rate, and you can look at Snohomish County on this, the birth rate per family is like less than 2. So I understand everyone's trying to be really nice about the growth that we're seeing, but candidly, it's not organic. I mean, we're not having families that are multi-generational from here year over year, generation over generation. And I think that that's something that's being missed here. And anyone that has a Ring doorbell is seeing what happens when these multi-family units get put in these neighborhoods. The crime goes up, your Ring doorbell alerts are going off all the time. And I would ask humbly that the commissioners consider that with their recommendation here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next is Evan Matheson.
Evan, go ahead.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Evan Matheson. I'm also from the Martha Lake community. I live off of 143rd off Cascadian. I've been a resident here for about 10 years and in the county for almost 20 years. I am speaking in support of rezoning, and I understand the intent and change behind this change. And simply, we need more housing choices, and I believe this allows for that with greater density. I also believe it aligns with the goals of the Growth Management Act, which has been mentioned before, and also the county's comprehensive plan. My only concern is the lack of infrastructure specific to Martha Lake. There's only one northern exit out of our community onto 128th and 5 leading out to 164th, and no exits leading east or west. And I just would love the commission to make a point that our specific neighborhood needs improvements to infrastructure along with this increased density, which is my only point tonight, and also in support of it. So I've also submitted my comments to Taylor, and so I look forward to hearing your responses with that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Who's next, Taylor?
Next is Jim.
Jim, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my name is Jim Wood. I live near Martha Lake, off of 164th on the south side. So I like the person a couple of speakers ago, late in the day, just got wind of this via both postcard. I'm not in favor of this, but I have a very specific instance of how these processes seem to go. I too am a senior. I'm a little bit more savvy with computers, but the problem that I've seen is that specifically an area right next to our development, which is a nice cul-de-sac. We paid $800,000 for our home 3 years ago. It's currently worth about $1 million, but I too, like some of the others, feel like this plan, while I agree necessary for growth, I like the woman who said the things about targeted rezoning, but in our case, our home sits high on the ridge. It has views of both the Cascades and the Olympics, and this lot behind us a year and a half ago, which is at the back end of the Christ Rock Fellowship Church, was completely bulldozed. It was a natural environment with ducks and geese and supporting all kinds of flora and fauna. They totally redid it, raised it 5 to 6 feet to where the level of their property is above our fence. And they said it was for personal use for their children to have activities out there. When I finally got the paperwork, because we found out about it the day the bulldozers showed up, and I finally got to the paperwork, and the net effect of that said that this was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago approved, that this lot, once completed, would be allowed to develop townhomes. Now, with that land being above my fence and the townhomes that have gone in 2 or 3 blocks down the street from us to the south, we will have a wall 50 feet high. I won't be able to see sunsets, won't be able to see the Cascades, the Olympics on that side, I'm sorry. And it's very frustrating because I know you said you're volunteers. My question here, I'll wrap up, is that you said you're making your recommendation after this meeting. What kind of process do you have to let latecomers to this and to actually assess the things people are saying to help form your recommendations? And please do include me on any further communications. And I would like to see a list of people who commented at this meeting. I think together we can communicate like the one gentleman said, and maybe have a better voice to help Linwood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How do speakers that call in on Zoom find out about the next hearing, or any of the speakers that are on the minutes tonight?
If you want someone to reach out, I need an address or an email.
I am sending an email.
Did you say you were sending an email?
Yeah, I've been writing it as I've been listening. It'll be forthcoming.
Okay. Perfect. Then we'll get you on the record once you send me that email.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking that question. Those who are on Zoom tonight, remember that happens. You can send in an email and be notified, like speakers tonight who sign up. That's important. Okay, Taylor, who do you have next?
Virginia Leeper.
Okay,
Can you hear
Virginia?
me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Virginia Leeper. I live in the Silver Lake Terrace neighborhood. I am opposed to this change in the zoning. I have a question first. Is Silver Lake Terrace neighborhood part of this zoning from the map? It's really hard to tell. If it is, it shouldn't be because of the infrastructure. Number one, there's no sidewalks. It's a cul-de-sac, basically neighborhood, and the road, it can barely fit one car going each way. Also, we're only on septics, and would not be enough room for multifamily dwellings to have drain fields. And if that would force the whole neighborhood to have to go to sewer, the people living here now could not afford to do this. And I've lived here for, for 38 years. And just to reinforce what others have said regarding, again, the infrastructure, not only the roads and no sidewalks are too small to handle it. Again, police, fire, the schools are not. And the schools, local schools, the elementary schools, cannot handle a lot more people moving into the area. And that's pretty much what I want to say. Others have already spoken and said what I had to say.
Thank you. You asked a question at the beginning about your location.
Yes.
What was that location again?
It's Silver Lake Terrace neighborhood. It's basically 11th Drive Southeast, right off of Silver Lake Drive, that neighborhood.
Okay. Frank, is that an area that's going to be rezoned? I don't believe it is.
Like from the map, it's right on the border, so it was hard to tell because it looked like 10th Drive behind us was, but we couldn't tell if our street was also included.
It may very well be included. A lot of the areas in that area are. I can't look that up right at this moment. I don't know if my colleague Shannon can look it up and maybe help us with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike Crosby.
Mike, go ahead.
This is Mike Crosby. I'm in the Martha Lake area, and I am opposed to this development. I've been here for nearly 50 years, seen a lot of growth in the area, but what has not happened in the past, as others have said, is improvement for traffic. There's been basically 2 arterials south and 1 arterial north, and it's getting extremely difficult to exit to the north and get on the main 128. Additionally, I called years ago and they said it was the state of Washington's responsibility for that traffic, but I believe it's Snohomish County's responsibility because they have added thousands of residential units over the years, and that's multiplied the traffic trying to exit a single street to the north and 2 arterials to the south in some neighborhood traffic. So until the county improves the traffic flow, they should not increase multifamily units and exploit this area, just simply for developers' profit margin. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Who do we have this next?
Danielle Raynard.
Danielle, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I agree, or I oppose this, but I agree with all the comments that have been made prior about parking, about police infrastructure, just infrastructure in general. But my main concern here is what's going to be done about, so I live in a 33 home community surrounded by apartments, and now new townhomes have gone in right next to Gold Creek Church. In my neighborhood, we have no amenities, but we have to pay homeowners dues because we're required to do the maintenance on 2 separate retention ponds. Okay. Now those townhomes kitty corner from us are benefiting from us maintaining those ponds, and they're not contributing anything yet. We're getting all of their runoff. And the county does not pay for any of what happens with the retention ponds in here, but they'll fine us if there's a problem with that. So I would like to know what you're going to do as far as drainage and all of that for these older communities that have already paid for those retention ponds and have paid to maintain them, when now most of the runoff, a lot of the runoff is coming from the structures that are built around my neighborhood. I don't feel that I should have to pay for everyone else's runoff. I feel like either the county needs to come in. If you guys are rezoning, you need to come in and you need to take over the retention ponds and make it your responsibility when you're allowing these impacts to go in, and we have to pay to maintain it. The other thing is This is where it starts. Once you let all the floodgate open with more housing, then everybody wants more schools. We don't have adequate schools. So my property taxes go through the roof, and I don't even have children. So I'm paying for people living in apartments that move into here, and because they want their kids in our school system. They're not paying into property taxes, but I am. So it's just ridiculous to me what's going on up here and what's being allowed. I can't even get a 4-way stop at the end of 41st and 148th. I'm being told there isn't enough traffic yet. Every day there's a ton of cars. You can't even get out of my street. You sit at a 2-way stop for 15 minutes to make a left-hand turn. So I'm just curious why all your departments don't sit down and talk about all these things, including code.
10 seconds left.
Including code, and sit down and talk about all these things. Your departments can't operate completely separate from one another, but that is what appears to be happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Appreciate it. Who's next?
It says E. Sear.
Go ahead and speak. We see the last name S-I-E-R. Go ahead and speak.
All right, we will come back to you. Ben Trixer.
Ben, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So my name is Ben. I live in the Alderwood Manor, basically between Meadow and Cascadian area. I'm against the resolution that's currently proposed for most of the same reasons everybody suggested. I do think we should try and preserve some level of rural lands in this area. It's what makes it beautiful. I'm raising my 6-year-old daughter here, and just yesterday we found a green tree frog while I was mowing the lawn, and that was just an amazing experience for her to have, and I'm hopeful many other families to have that experience. Don't have a ton to say other than I'm against, and I really would like to keep this area rural and beautiful. And thank you so much for your time.
And thank you. Who's next, Taylor?
It is a phone number 425-775-2565.
We know what buttons they need to push to unmute if they're on the phone.
Hi, folks.
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead. You got to push unmute. Yeah, *9. Hit *9. Who's on the phone? You need to push *9. There you go.
I pushed *9. I pushed *6. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, there was a lot of talking from the phone to me. Sorry, I apologize. My name is Jim Rich. I live in the Edmonds area. Have a house actually also in Esperance. And I've been watching the ongoing brewing crisis of homelessness and housing unaffordability in the state for the last 35 probably years or more. I worked in the real estate industry as a mortgage lender for many years, and I have a fair sense of the pulse of what's going on. And there are a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings among people. I can say I'm not a developer, and I don't work for any developers, but I know that developers are highly taxed in the process of trying to build housing for residents in the state of Washington. And it's unfortunate to demonize those people who are working on the front lines, along with the planning department, to create and provide housing. Yes, not every house that's built is going to be affordable. Yes, it has to make sense financially for a builder to be involved. It takes an enormous amount of money, an enormous amount of risk to be able to build in this state. There were some really great points made about maintaining green zones, parks, access to the hospital at the Edmonds Swedish Hospital. It is a two-lane road in each direction, and there does need to be consideration for that. And I would also encourage the council to very seriously look at another recommendation was made, I think is excellent, something I actually wanted to bring up. It would make more sense to focus more on creating small villages where there is multi-use is allowed, where there can be a coffee shop, a place selling donuts or bread or pastries or cheese in people's local communities, as has been the case in small communities in Europe for hundreds of years. We don't need to rely so much on cars. We don't need to be so impacted by cars. And the requirement for parking space, if you've ever tried to develop it and you've been around developers, you know that the requirements of parking are onerous, and they increase the cost of housing significantly. I can't spew out numbers right now, but we're talking tens of thousands, if not close to $100,000 to add an extra 2 parking spots, because it takes up so much space from what could otherwise be built on. So consider putting to the council, looking at providing the density that we need, while also providing the people that live there a sense of community, sense of home, that they can walk to pick up a bagel, they can walk to get a coffee, they can walk to meet their neighbors and their friends in the area. But that would require a new approach to how we design housing and coding. I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of possibility. Let's increase density, but also increase the livabilities of our neighborhoods and keep the trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Taylor, here's a question for you. Do you show a lot of people left on Zoom?
We have 6 more hand raised. Two of them were the ones we attempted to get before.
Okay, because I'd like to hear from the folks here too before too much longer, but just 6 more. So let's just stay with Zoom if everybody's okay with that for now. Okay.
Sandra,
go ahead.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sandra. I've lived in Snohomish County in Linwood since 1999, and I've noted with increased concern that we're just decimating all the trees and places that I thought were protected wetlands. I'd like to hear at some point what we're going to have left of trees. I too am concerned about all the multi-family units going in where there used to be one house, because as everybody else has said, that results in a whole lot of cars parked on both sides of the streets. And the new units are pretty close to one another. What happens if there's a fire? What happens when there's a fire? Because even though on 156th we have the fire station at the end of the street with 99, when cars are on both sides of each street everywhere and the houses are so close, I think that is a hazard that we can probably mitigate by asking the developers to allow more space between houses. My other 2 concerns are, with all this density, with children and grandchildren and a million families, we have nothing like Green Lake. We have no areas where people can gather or picnic or walk or exercise and get to know their neighbors. When I first came here, I knew all my neighbors. Now I don't know anybody. Part of that is due to working from home, but a great part of it is because people have nowhere to gather. Another concern I have is that we have light rail in Linwood now, but there's no long-term parking. We're talking about wanting to mitigate traffic. If you want to go to the airport or somewhere where you have to leave your car overnight, where do you park and take the light rail? I would like answers to some of those questions. And I realize that this density is inevitable. Everybody is concerned about it. I don't think we can do anything about it because it's going to happen. But please give us information about where we can gather, what recreational areas there will be, and just a general sense of how this is going to be better for all of us who moved here and bought our houses because we kind of liked rural neighborhood environments. That's all I have to ask. Thanks.
And thank you very much, too. Who's next?
Marissa Arata.
Marissa, go ahead.
This is Marissa. I live on the corner of Butternut and Maple. And boy, we've just seen so much of a change in Linwood since I've lived here. We like to walk every day, and I just feel like it's getting so dangerous to even go walk. Nobody abides the speed limits, and it's, my son just learned how to walk, and I feel like I can't let him, go run around the neighborhood when he gets older, like, I did when I was younger. And so, getting more people here just seems really scary to me. And we've just had an issue with people driving recklessly. They pretend like it's their own personal racetrack, this road that we live on, and they have the loud cars and they keep us up at night. And I can't imagine having more and more and more people here. It just seems like, it's just too packed as it is. And there's not enough sidewalks to walk on, and the sidewalks aren't safe. And, there's not enough parking. All the things that the other people have been saying. What about the schools? It's just going to be a nightmare. And, it's just not what we signed up for. When we moved here, I used to see deer. I used to see all sorts of wildlife and birds. And, I used to see kids out playing. And, now that we've had these apartment complexes, all the other people have said, they're super ugly. It's like, they block up the light, they block up the trees, they cut down the trees, they block up the scenery. And, I don't see these being affordable either, for people to live in. So I just don't understand the whole point of this. If it's supposed to be to make housing affordable for people, it's going to be a big burden on the. I called the sheriff one time because there was a guy laying in the middle of the road. And I said, and they said, well, it's not against the law to lay in the middle of the road. You can't get the police to come out for anything. And what's going to happen now when we have, 25, 35, 45% more people, I don't see that we're going to have the infrastructure for this. I know a lot of other people have said the same thing, but, Linwood used to be family friendly, family oriented. I used to bring my daughter to different programs at the Lindell Park. We really enjoyed that for the kids, and they don't have this kind of stuff anymore. So we really need to get that kind of stuff back. And we really need to, beautify it again, get rid of all this graffiti. I just don't see how we're going to have the budget for that if we have more people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marissa. Appreciate it. Who's next?
Stephanie?
Stephanie, go ahead.
Hi there. My name is Stephanie Severs, and I just wanted to go on record. I live on 16th Place West. That's right next to Lake Stickney. And I want to be on record to say I oppose this. My 2 cents, I agree with almost everybody that's already spoken. I am one of those houses, unfortunately, that now has a 3-story house in my backyard. It used to be a sanctuary. I had trees galore. I couldn't see neighbors. And now I have this huge house staring right down at me. So I am super opposed to this. I am living it, and it is horrific. It makes me so sad to see. Not the point. Point is, I oppose it. I do believe it's very pro-builder developer. I think that you should be actually working for the smaller people and not having so much money on the builders, because the house that now looks into my kitchen window my bedroom window, my shower room, they are $1.1 million. It is stupid. Everywhere in my house, if you come down our streets, like I watched Tivoli get built. I watched Madison Way get built. I've seen so many of my small ramblers be gobbled up and throw all these big houses or duplexes onto them. And I'm not the normal of it anymore. So when you look at my landscape within my neighborhood, like I'm the outlier, and it's unfortunate. So I just want to say I'm opposed of it. And I think that was everything. And I did want to say a few other things. Nope, real quick. There are less crows and the coyotes don't know where to go. I forgot who said it, but yes, the wildlife has totally been different. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Taylor, who do we have next?
Sean Worsner.
Sean, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to come in from a slightly different. Oh, by the way, how long do I have? Is it 2 minutes or something?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to come in from a slightly different narrative here. We have a bobcat that showed up this year. I have lots of trees. I have a very large yard. This would benefit me personally significantly, right? When I moved in, developers developed on both sides of my property, but I still have lots of trees. It's wonderful. It's like an oasis, right? But having said that, there's a few fallacies here I want to debunk. And I want to go back to Mr. Crosby, who I was completely in sync with, by the way, if he's still online. Wonderful gentleman, 50 years of wisdom. What I want to say is the woman who stated that the developers put money into infrastructure, that on the surface may be correct, but it's only the sidewalks in front of the property, right? They put in handicap walkways and so on and so forth. They do nothing for the infrastructure outside of the immediate area. I live below Martha Lake, by the old airport. And, we have Martha Lake, we have Silver Lake, we have McClellan Park. We have lots of parks, actually. The issue is there is a complete disregard when people say that it's for affordable housing. Tell me one contractor out there who's going to say, we're going to charge 10% above our cost. The cost of property is market driven. And anyone who feels otherwise is completely like missing the point. Developers will get the maximum dollar for whatever the market delivers. So that's whoever said it's low cost housing, that's a fallacy. As far as infrastructure, that's also a fallacy because there's a tremendous amount of more tax basis in the area that I live in, but yet our taxes go up year over year, right? So there's more tax basis without any legitimate infrastructure being improved. I mean, the cutoff road, for those who know by 164th and Meadow, those poor folks who live on that little cutoff road, I feel sorry for them because even 164th and Meadow, they haven't put a turn lane in, which is like 10 years overdue. There's just a complete disregard for the logistics of traveling. And for the folks who live down by Bothell Everett Highway or further, forget it. You're never going to make it to I-5. So I think ultimately there's going to be development, but there's zero consideration for the logistics of transportation, and forget Swift buses and so on and so forth. That's good, but at the end of the day, they need to consider the movement of traffic, and that is completely disregarded. So I appreciate what the council's doing, and inevitably there's going to be development. For me personally, as a homeowner, I would benefit from it significantly financially. My house is paid for. I plan on moving out in a few years. So for me, I mean, my personal stake is minimal, but with respects to the community, this needs to be decided on a case-by-case basis instead of globally. And if the issue is permitting, then the city or the county needs to work on being more efficient with the permitting process rather than doing a broad stroke of the brush to make it easy for everybody. Once again, I appreciate the council. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's next? Who's next?
Nancy Bennett.
Nancy, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Nancy. I am in the Esperance area. I am sorry to be cynical, but I think this is probably not going to go anywhere. I really honor what Lorene, Bond, Kathy, and Sandra had to say. Just imagine Esperance, using a metaphor, it's a box. Well, a box is not endless, and you can only fit so much of whatever in a box. And what is happening is, we'll just make everything taller, higher, we'll just kind of keep stuffing people in like little bird cages, even though the bird cages are like $1 million townhouses. It's just unhealthy. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I just think that humanity is not really being considered here. Like many people said, it's profit and more tax revenue for whoever is getting that. And it's just really sad and disappointing. And I don't even know, is this being taped? Is somebody transcribing this? I really have my doubts that this isn't just kind of for show, and then everybody just, goes on business as usual, if you understand what I'm saying. So I can only hope that anything could make a difference here about what's being said. A lot of people are very concerned. I have the same concerns. And I just hope this all just isn't a joke. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you. Taylor, who do you have next?
Gisa Hurley.
Gisa, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Tyler. I live off of Ashway in Linwood, and we live in a single family home. We've been here for about 15 years or so. And I was just curious, the proposed rezoning has our area being rezoned to light rail community when I was looking at the map. And I'm curious what that could mean for our home and our neighbors' homes in the future. If that impacts, like our home could get taken away for multifamily housing, or if that just applies to new build. And if you can answer that, how could we find that information out?
So the LRC zone is a separate project that will be considered by the Planning Commission later this year, but it is intended to support high intensity mixed use, to consistent with the light rail station being adjacent or nearby.
So is there a future town hall to discuss plans with that and timing and more information along those lines?
Yes, that will be coming later this year. There's information on the website too. I think if you look at the Snohomish County website and search on there, the project information is available on the website.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you. Who's next, Taylor?
Going to come back to Patrick.
Patrick, go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Patrick Paul, and I live on 39th Avenue, just north, 39th Avenue Southeast, just north of 228th Street Southeast. And I'm part of Sangaya Co-Housing. And I am in support of this rezone. I would like to see it expanded so it would allow for tiny houses and besides just low income. We have property here as part of our co-housing community. We have over 12 acres. We're surrounded by development that has gone in over the last 20 years of single family homes here, which are now going for $1.5 million. And we have beautiful streets. We have sidewalks throughout the whole area. One of the things I wanted to point out is that there's no businesses in the whole stretch from 228 to Maltby Road that you can walk to. I mean, there's nothing to walk to in terms of coffee shop, or a small grocery store, just these small neighborhood businesses to be allowed in these large single family zones would be nice. We have a lot of young people in our community who now rent, but who would like to own or have their own house. And that's where the tiny homes come in. But, I tell them right now to develop a lot here is like $300,000, and to put an $80,000 tiny home on a $300,000 lot and having a $380,000 tiny home that's only 480 square feet just doesn't make it. The development of the land is so high. That's what leads to these $1.5 million homes. I've taken a couple of them and broken out the downstairs and created ADUs. So I do support the county in allowing ADUs, both detached and detached ADUs. That's one way to get really affordable housing. And, maybe it's one way that some of these single family homes, the developers want to buy their lot, if they just put a couple ADUs on them, it would make their lot, the improvements on their lot a lot greater than the value of the land. So that's my comments. I thank you for all the hard work that's gone into this.
Thank you, Patrick. Who's next?
And then we're coming back to E. Sear.
Go ahead and speak.
We still can't hear you, unfortunately. Is there a way for you to adjust your audio settings?
I have several times.
There we go.
You did it.
You got me? You got me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're doing good.
I live in a approximately 220 manufactured mobile home community in South Everett. And I think, Mr. Sussler, your presentation already answered my primary concern in that you seem to indicate that manufactured home communities will not be part of this rezoning. Is that correct?
If the zoning is mobile home park currently, then it won't be rezoned. Based on where you're describing, I believe that is one of the locations that's zoned mobile home park and will not be rezoned.
It is. It's been around since the 60s. Thank you. I have been listening to a lot of these other concerns, and I do agree with the infrastructure concerns for electricity, for water, for stormwater runoff, for sewage taken care of, and just other environmental concerns. The trees are getting ripped out. That lowers our air quality significantly. Parking is another huge concern. Police support and other emergency services support. It's very hard to see the changes going in, the crime going up, the drug use going up, the gangs going up. It is daunting. We've been in our current location since 2011, and there have been a lot of changes in the community around Carriage Club Estates. So again, I want to thank you all for your patience listening to us all. And I want to thank you for Mr. Sussler for your presentation. That was very informative. And just, again, thank everybody for your time and patience this evening. And that about wraps up my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Sire. Appreciate it. Who's next?
There are no other hands online raised.
Okay, let's turn back to our audience then.
We have one comment, but he wants to wait till the speaker gets back.
Okay.
Any other comments? Anyone else want to speak?
Come on up.
My name is Colleen. I live in unincorporated Linwood. My name is Colleen. I live in unincorporated Linwood. And as you're making your decision to what you're going to say to the council. I just want to quickly explain to you, my neighborhood did go through a zoning change, and the council themselves were so negligent with the builders. Our neighborhood has totally lost its heart. We also had 3-story homes built right to the fence line. They literally look into my kitchen, my bedroom, everything else. They allowed them to build up the ground. They ruined all of the septics on that side of the road. All of us have had to replace our septic systems. Of course, no one offered to help us with that. That was not our doing. They worked fine. They asked us our opinion, and so we gave it to them. We already had so much traffic. We were in a cul-de-sac, but down below, we said, we have so much traffic, you put in all these homes, this is going to cause a problem. But instead of fixing the problem, they allowed them to punch out our cul-de-sac, which immediately lowered all of our homes' values. Do you think that anyone offered to help make that up to us? Not at all. So now we have a punched out road, and instead of dealing with the traffic problems, they closed half of our road. So now we don't even have our same access. We have to go through these new neighborhoods, which is more traffic. And so they rezoned our homes. So a lot of the places that sold, they built in little apartments all along. So now we have so many cars parked out into our road. The fire department has told us, we can't help you people. This is illegal. So we've complained to the county. They sent out someone that put up no parking signs, but do you think that anyone comes out and enforces that? No. So we're kind of stuck in a home. I'm in a third generation. This is a third generation of home that I live in. My grandparents, my parents, and then I bought that from them. And the whole heart of the neighborhood is gone. And we've had no say. What say we did have, no one listened to. So please listen to these people before it's too late for them when you consider what you're going to recommend.
What's the street that you're on?
I'm on 177th Place Southwest in Linwood.
Thank you.
We've already been rezoned, so I mean, it's already kind of lost for us. But really, these people's concerns are very, very valid, and that's their families and their homes. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Who'd like to speak next? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ryan Howard. I live on a beautiful farm off of 204th and 43rd. I support the council's efforts as long as there's caveats. Caveats of preservation, caveats of building consistency, and generally being good stewards of the environment. People don't want to look at, as you've heard, giant walls. I work with the Department of Energy. I work with our U.S. national labs. I sit on committees. I understand kind of the abuse you guys take, but we're trying to build next generation data centers that we can reuse the heat, and we can shrink basically a data center to the size of 100,000 square feet to a building the size of this room, and reuse all the heat. So my proposal would be, and I can turn this into the planning department, a small data center that blends in with the farm, reuses the heat. I can provide heat to the local neighbors, the townhouses, the 55 townhomes they're trying to build in back of me, the 65 they're trying to build to the south of me. We won't have problems such as you've seen in Spain with the power going out or LA fires. Our systems use natural rainwater. I get over 350 million gallons of rainwater over my property, which is typically a problem. I can store that in tanks, and that acts as auxiliary for our fire department to address some of the fire needs. This is a win for the county. It's approximately $1 billion to $2 billion in tax revenue, and it blends in with the environment. It has all the positive aspects. It preserves the farm. It preserves a near extinct species of plum growing on the property. And I think hopefully it'll be a happy medium between, what's going on here and, people are struggling with this and growth is difficult. But if you maintain some of the beauty in the area along with a high-tech angle, it becomes much easier, much more palatable. And one last thing, when I was riding back from the airport, I travel quite frequently. I had the Uber driver tell me that he waited till midnight to charge his vehicles, to wait for 19 cents. He's typically paying 55 cents. That's $1,200 a month on top of your $350 to $400 home heating bill. I would eliminate that because I would put charging stations along 43rd and 204th at the cost of the data center rates, which is around less than 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's interesting. Who's next? Who wants to speak next? Go ahead. Sure. What I'd like you to do is let's let other people speak first. Okay. But I do want to hear from you, okay?
My name is Rand Leichenberger, and I live off of 137th between Cascadian and Meadow. It's a well-developed neighborhood, large lots, been there for 40 years, love it. The comments that I've heard tonight wrapped up just explain why this needs to be a case-by-case basis, not a blanket admission to just let everybody go the way they want. Anyway, that's my point. So
thank you very much. Who'd like to speak next?
We do have one more hand raised online. Kathy Schroeder.
Kathy, go ahead.
Kathy, we can't hear you. Can you adjust your audio settings? Why don't we come back to you in just a moment? Was there anyone in person?
Okay, anybody here?
No.
Go ahead, come on up.
My name's Colleen McDonald, and I live in Esperance. I have for the last 20 years. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I realize there's been some uncomfortable, heat directed at you, and I recognize that you are all volunteers and you're all trying to hear us. You've made that clear that you are trying to listen to us, so I do appreciate that. I and every neighbor I know are adamantly opposed to preemptively rezoning the entire area in one broad-based action, especially given that what the explanation on the card was to streamline the permitting process to remove that extra step that Mr. Schlusser, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name, referenced earlier. But residents count on all of those extra steps to be able to have a say in what's going to happen in their neighborhood. We may miss the postcard. My kids got 16 things going that week, and there's no way I can make another meeting. I'm a single parent. I work at Microsoft. I work a lot of hours. I've taken time out of my life and my son's life to go knock on doors in Esperance for the last week to make sure that people knew about what was going on, that people could come to the meeting or get their voices heard if they couldn't come. Because I think it's important that we all have a say, that we get to have a say in where we live. What we're asking is for you to ensure that the impacted residents in these areas get to have a say in the changes that are coming to their neighborhood. I don't think anybody here is going to tell you that we believe that there's no changes. We're all can see it coming. But we want to be active participants in the process, not just bystanders who have to watch and be told that we have, you've exhausted your options. We didn't hear you. Nobody showed up for the meeting. Too bad, so sad. And I know that none of you here would actually resort to that language, just an example. We're not, I think this group is seeing it, but what I'm not sure is if the county council is that we are not the nameless and the faceless whose needs don't matter. We are residents of Esperance. We are residents of Snohomish County, and we deserve to have a say in the governance of where we live, in the places that we live, in what's being done in the neighborhoods, especially if it's being done in the name of government and growth. We're part of all of that. We live here. My colleagues here, the people here have all said it far better than I can about how this will impact us individually. What I want to, all of their concerns actually got expressed to me by the multitude of people that I talked to when I was walking the neighborhoods. Between myself and a couple other folks, we handed out 350 different flyers. We didn't talk to 350 people. We talked to I probably spoke to at least 100 people alone in the last week. And almost all of them were like, no, please, we can't do this. And a lot of them were concerned on the timing. I get this is the regular meeting, but a lot of people just couldn't get here. So I encouraged everybody to get here. What I would like to do.
You have a couple seconds left if you can wrap up.
Thank you. I want to encourage us to slow down. I recognize that change is coming, but let's slow this process down to allow for the reimagining that one of our colleagues, one of the other people addressed. Maybe a joint process to include and engage with residents of the area for creative solutions. We're at a time for creative solutions, folks, to address the state requirements and retain the livability and unique characters of our neighborhoods. Maybe engage with the folks across 220th and Edmonds that are facing the same state pressures, a unified approach across the broader group instead of silos. So I would like to encourage you to continue to listen. You've made it clear you are listening to us tonight. Please hear our voices. Please do not pass a broad stroke that isn't going to address the needs of the communities that need to be heard. Case by case, targeted rezones and reviews are the way to go. So thank you for listening to us tonight. I know it's been a bit of a contentious, probably a little more exciting than usual meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking.
Anyone else wish to speak at this time?
Then if no one is, let's try Kathy again. She still has her hand raised.
Okay. Kathy, go ahead. Right now, your mic is off.
Kathy, are you there? Unfortunately, I don't think she is there.
Okay. Okay, we have a gentleman here that would like to speak again if you'd like to come up.
Thank you so much. I'll do my best to make it really quick. Just two quick points. One in regards to the rezoning concept here. When we're talking about rezoning residential, the thoughts about rezoning business. When you look at 99 and all the car dealerships that are all up and down the road, I don't know how many cars we actually can drive at one time, but there's more cars than people at this point. When you look at the closed businesses, Ted's Sports Center has been closed since COVID. It's tagged up and it looks apocalyptic. There's a burned down building just another block or two down the road by the pawn shop. The pawn shop's closed. Let's turn those into residents off of 99, give people straight access to the road and reimagine it that way. Let's try and stay out of the residential areas versus doing that. And the other point I wanted to make real quick is millions of dollars went into the estuary restoration for the Meadowdale County Park area. The tribes monitor the fish. I saw salmon swimming upstream for the first time in 16 years of that stream. So many that I called Ranger Joe so many times when he posted the signs that he was like, I get it. I see him too. We're going to undo what we put into those efforts by taking and removing the green space that we have for this by putting in these lots and doing this construction because all that runs downstream into the sound. So just consider that we can't undo that once we've done it. You can build something, tear it down and rebuild it again. But when you take away green space, it takes decades, if not centuries, to come back. So I just want to make.
Thank you so much. Come on up. I was hoping you'd get back up again.
Thank you.
not here to cause trouble, but in Esperance area where I live, we have Esperance Park. They're talking about rezoning that. It's not condensing our lands. We're supposed to have these parks for the families to go to. They were going to rezone. They want to rezone Esperance. There won't be a park there. It's a baseball field. It's a dog park. Hummingbird Park in Edmonds, same thing. They want to take the park away from Edmonds there. The huge area of Francis Anderson Center on Main Street, they want to rezone that for development. Come on, guys. Where are the people going to go if they're all condensed into small houses? And they're supposed to have an outage of these parks to go to, and the parks they're taking them away.
Thank you. Frank, can you tell me if the park area in Esperance is going to be part of this rezone?
So the designation will remain public institutional. It will continue to be owned by the county and used as a park. Currently it's zoned R8400, and it would be rezoned to be consistent with the surrounding zoning.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Come on up.
I'd like to just say one quick thing. My wife talked about our area that I live on, 177th. It's right off of 164th, Alder Way going to the mall. There's like 3 or 4 new huge apartment buildings they've put there right off 164th there, Ashway. But there's no infrastructure in that whole area to get to the mall. I had hoped at some point that they would make like an off-ramp, kind of like they do South Center right off the freeway to the mall. They haven't yet, but that's really getting congested. And now there's another new area that they took out 3 houses and some woods. And so there's going to be, it looks like, more apartments in there. I'm just concerned about that going south, not necessarily getting on the freeway. That's easy, but it's that mall traffic. So something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak? Come on up, sir.
I like a lot of what the comments been made today. I really do. I lived in my house now for 35 years.
Yeah, get that speaker up by your mouth.
A little taller, I have to raise it. But I've always had good success working with Snohomish County. I really commend the people in Snohomish County. I think it's different than any other county in the state. I'm really proud of this county. I know they listen to me. You know, was appointed area watch person. They just stuck a sign out there. It's okay, your job. And I took it to light. So I've gotten a lot of help from Snohomish County as far as mitigating traffic. I put in the first crosswalk 35 years ago. Now we got flashing lights there. We got additional lights down the street to slow down traffic. We're trying to mitigate for some ripples, and that's my next agenda. I did get all the power poles. They stole all the copper off. We reinstated that. We were the first neighborhood to have that done. I don't know if anybody else ever done, but I wanted to mention that it's very important that your ground wires on your telephone poles get reinstated. Don't let them put aluminum, put copper. And on a couple of my own poles, I had to go out and do it myself. And I won't go any more detail, but I just want to, if there's something about your particular neighborhood, I lived in Edmonds. I moved out because a lot of people in the neighborhood had a lot of gray hair, and I didn't want my kids driving down the 9th Avenue and running a car. So I moved into a rental house I had and developed the house where I'm at now. So I just want to say with change, Snohomish County has accommodated me. People have listened to me, and I'm proud of this county, proud of what you're doing. And I know you're listening. I just talked to, forgive me, I know your name.
Bob Larson.
Bob Larson. And he was out here in the hall. He was very interested in what we had to say. And he's he's a person you can talk to. I haven't had the privilege to talk to y'all, but I'm sure you're the same attitude. So I just want to encourage anybody, if you do want to make change, they will work with you. I realize getting the flashing light took 2 years. Getting the reinstatement of all the copper on the poles, it took 2 years. And now some of the copper's being stolen off. So let's go back again. So I just want to encourage you. It may take time, but the system does work. And I commend everybody's comment. I agree with you. So everybody have a nice evening. We're going to move forward and have success.
Thank you. We got some more time if anybody else would like to speak.
Use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Bathroom break.
Anyone else?
Before we move on,
Okay.
before we move on, Kathy logged back in and has her hand up. Oh, and she's gone. I'm sorry. I thought we had her.
Bathroom break.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like she's saying there's one more speaker.
She lost.
We lost her again, unfortunately.
Okay, at this point in time, I'll close the public hearing. It's 8:03, and we're going to take a break and maybe chat a little bit, but 10-minute break, we'll come back and then we'll continue. Thank you very much for what you said tonight. Okay, let's resume the meeting. And right now we're at a point where we have a discussion after we've closed the public hearing. And let's go ahead and have that discussion, and then I'll make a proposition to everybody. Any discussion? Anybody want to make any kind of a statement? Commissioner Bush.
I heard several people mention this, and I think it's a really fair point. And I don't know exactly what is permitted in these areas, but if the goal is to make these areas more dense and walkable communities where there might be less parking, is there space in those communities that will be zoned for commercial space, neighborhood commercial, mixed use? Like what is the plan around that? Because if you want the community to be walkable so that fewer people need cars, there has to be coffee shops, grocery stores, things like that in the communities.
So in these particular areas that are affected by this, they're generally placed so that they are near those types of locations or they are near a bus line.
Okay.
But it's a fair point, and if that would be outside the scope of this project to consider if there was a desire to allow those types of uses on a limited basis or something like that. But the idea with these areas is they're near those places or they have access via transit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other discussion at this time?
I guess I have a question about the area around Edmonds that was brought up a lot. I guess my question would be, why is that area being included in the area-wide rezone? And are there like buses and transportation near there? If you know that answer.
Esperance?
Yeah, so that...
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, so the Esperance community has been designated for medium density residential use since the original 1995 comprehensive plan and has always been zoned R8400, which is not consistent with that zoning. So that's why it is being included in this proposal. The area in general has proximity to high capacity transit because it's near the Highway 99 corridor.
Thank you. Any other discussion at this time? I propose that we move to, I'm sorry.
One more real quick. I'm sorry. Someone mentioned that they were paying for their community was paying to maintain some runoff ponds, and that, okay. Yeah.
In general, developments are allowed to discharge their stormwater downstream where it generally goes, but they're required to meet pre-developed drainage design, which means they have to do infiltration or detention. So any water there could potentially be issues with that development, but generally, like, you can't just take your stormwater and let it run into your neighbor's pond. That pond was designed for that specific development. So per county code, that would not be allowed. So I don't know if maybe there's something going on there separate with, but.
I guess I can kind of speak to that. I've been involved in 2 multifamily developments within similar to this area in Edmonds or South Snohomish County. And in both of those multifamily use developments, we planned in a retention vault on site that handled that stormwater runoff to a certain capacity. It filtered out before it entered the county system.
Gotcha. Okay, that answers that question. One other quick thing about people had mentioned septic and being forced into the.
Yeah, I had a note on that. I thought, did I read that incorrectly in your presentation that it said non-sewerable locations are excluded?
There are some areas of the county that are known to be unsewerable enclaves, which is a specific definition. There, for example, that's why the areas west of Beverly Park Road have been excluded from this proposal, as well as the 2024 update infill review, because they were actually downzoned 15, 20 years ago for that very reason, that it was not possible for them to be sewered. And so there are some other areas in that proximity. So that's those areas. As far as the paying, that has to do with the district that serves the area and the specific conditions that they have. So that's not a county regulation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I suggest or propose that we go through the motion and the vote, whatever that is. And after that is completed, what I'd like to hear, I watched all of us, we're taking notes, we're listening, we heard a lot tonight that concerns us, is what I'd like to propose is after the vote, we go do a roundtable, starting with Commissioner Sheldon, and each of us express our concerns or our thoughts. And what I've arranged for is our combined comments then will be converted into a letter that will be sent to County Council based on what we've heard tonight. So whatever the outcome of the vote is, I'd like to follow that up with each of us seeing what's important to us about what we heard tonight. That'll turn into a letter that I'll review, and then it'll go to County Council. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we all are going to speak individually after the vote and pass on what we've heard to the council. So at this point in time, I would entertain a motion, and we're open on what that motion might be. And we'll need a second.
Now you confused me. You said we would go with the motion. Now you said to hear.
You want to hear the comments prior to the motion?
Would you rather do it that way?
Technically.
Let's do that. Let's do it.
Technically, Robert's rules, you open the floor by making a motion and then second it, and then we have discussion before we vote, typically. But
so basically, we make our motion. We make our motion. We have our discussion.
Yeah.
And then we vote. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good. I like it. Thank you for that education.
Yes.
Robert Wren, my name's Robert, so we're going to do it. So we'd need a motion, a second, discussion, then vote. Anyone care to make a motion?
Motion to approve area-wide zones, rezone. My eyes are going black.
Okay, very good. We have a motion by Commissioner Sheldon to approve area-wide rezone as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. At this point in time, we go to
discussion.
At this point in time, we go to discussion, and this will be the opportunity for the roundtable comments on what we've heard tonight. Commissioner Sheldon, go first.
I think I'm so confused. If we have this kind of a issue going now, what would it be like going north? It seemed like we had almost 2.5 hours of testimony that I have. There's so many questions I couldn't even take really a good vote on it, because a lot of people brought up a lot of good things, and I have those same questions for Frank too.
Okay, Mr. Chandler.
Yeah, I think the premise of what is being presented is something that obviously growth needs to happen. There were many concerns raised that I would share in the same concern with respect to services or traffic. In any other development going forward, whether there's a permit or not, there is, at least historically speaking, I've dealt with traffic studies that need to be presented upon permitting. We've dealt with parking studies that need to be addressed to a certain capacity ratio. I don't see any of those going away with this. So a lot of those concerns that were raised will be addressed in this process as well. I guess I should have spoken sooner, but my advice would be, the question that I would have is, everyone that spoke, do they know who their district representative member is? And are they communicating these same things to them? We are just one piece of the puzzle. But I would encourage, and if that can go out in a notification, I would encourage that they make that direct reach to their district council member. Okay. But I mean, many of these things are always going to be a concern in any development area. You're going to be concerned with density. You're going to be concerned with rise in crime. You're going to be concerned with parking. You're going to be concerned with school overrun, playing devil's advocate to that point, bringing more people into these schools will often upsize those schools and funding and capacity needs that they're budget constrained now. So more people into those schools isn't necessarily a bad thing from that state perspective. But, critical areas, wetlands, tree studies. I know I did note the letter from, I think, Fish and Wildlife. A developer, I guess my point to that is, any developer that's going to go on a piece of dirt that is constrained with critical wetlands, they're not going to buy that piece of dirt. It's going to be retained as a critical wetland by no one purchasing that land. So that would be my point. So.
Okay, thanks very much. And remember, as we speak, that this will be turned into a letter.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bastide.
Thank you. I think some of the bigger concerns that I understand coming from the public really has to do with like traffic and parking, which makes sense when you have multiple smaller units, especially since some of the new parking regulations is allowing to actually get rid of some of those parking standards that we had previously. So I think that's something that the county should take into account. Let's see. The other thing I think that also concerned me is the ability for developers to install like walls over 6 to 8 feet high adjacent to single family homes, which does impact, light and people's gardens, and that would be problematic for me if I live next to one of those developments. So I think that needs to be looked at. I know like that there are some like SEPA exemptions, and a lot of times SEPA is where we're able to, or the public is able to kind of push back. But I think there should be some look at like limitations on grading change across neighbors and adjacent properties.
Okay, thanks very much. For my part, I would say in those areas rezoned, preserve parklands and protect public open spaces, increase code enforcement, save trees, even if we have to do it through incentives, we need to save trees. On infrastructure, utilities, roads, public safety need to be reviewed, and I believe those points have been made already. And that's all I've got to say. Thanks, Commissioner Sievers, go ahead.
This is such a ball of yarn. We're not unique. Every community in the country that's in some, semi-urban area is experiencing this. Someone brought up the cost of dirt work. It's not just building a house and lumber and steel, it's moving dirt to put infrastructure in. The point that was made about infill being raised kind of caught my attention. I'm curious about that because it does affect runoff. And yes, I know there's studies done and they have to build retention, but I also heard some positive things about salmon in streams, and there are some good things happening. What stood out to me though was safety, emergency services access, and it's Commissioner Sheldon's point is it's not just like, it's the edges of Snohomish County. So the smaller communities, Arlington, Lake Steve, they're all feeling this too. So it's something that I don't really know people want space to live in. They want a yard, but if we put 6 on a lot, we're going to go up. And if we're trying to get as much space as we can, we now have a, 5 to 10 foot driveway and 1-car garage. So we might be very thoughtful about where we're doing this, which we are being. We're in areas that are close to light rail and transit access. We did just increase impact fees. We just went through this, I think 6 months ago, losing track. So I love the creativity, a couple of ideas that came up with maybe some creative conversations with some developers that are open to those ideas. I think I'll just stop there.
Okay, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Commissioner Namella, what are your thoughts?
So I think contacting our reps is a good idea. This is great tonight, but I think also contacting individually with our representatives would be very good so they can hear what we're thinking. I heard the idea that was brought up by, I'm not sure who it was, but case by case rather than a blanket proposal. I need to look at that more. I think we should consider that. And then I heard this earlier too about repurposing vacant businesses. I don't know the county requirements for that, but that at this point, without looking into it a lot, makes a lot of sense to me.
Thank you. Commissioner Bush.
All right. So I don't want to get on my soapbox too much here, but, cities used to develop kind of in a natural and incremental way. And because of zoning laws, that has not happened in the last 100 years. We've had these kinds of limits and lines on maps that indicate where density can happen and can't happen. And now we're kind of going in the reverse direction because we're having this housing crisis and we have to build more housing. So it's such a challenge because this is a natural process that cities go through and areas go through as there's more demand for housing, things get torn down, you get more density. That's how it's always happened in cities. But at the same time, I am so saddened to hear how much that impacts people because people buy into these communities when they're built out completely with the expectation that it's going to stay that way. And that's what they're buying. And when that doesn't happen and when something changes, it feels like the rug's being pulled out from under you. And that is a really painful experience when you're raising children in your home and you want things to happen in a certain way in your community. You want to feel safe. All of us want those things. And it's just such a complicated situation. I really want to see us be able to have in these areas that are relatively close to transit. There do need to be more walkable communities. Having a coffee shop in the area is good for everybody. Everybody wants that. That's a place you can take your kids. It's something that's good for the community. But that means safe sidewalks where you feel like you can walk your kids, and all of these things require a lot of money. More policing requires more money. And it's just this complicated web of things where there's just always a need for more that's very legitimate and understandable, and a need for more parks. Like, I really think we need more parks in a lot of these areas. And it's, as a person who lives in an apartment, I really appreciate local parks. I'm a renter. I have been saving for 10 years to buy a house, and the price of a house just keeps getting higher and higher. And it feels like it's just never going to be in reach, because houses for people like me, who I'm a childless person married to my husband. We don't have kids. We don't need a 4-bedroom, 4,000 square foot house. We need a 2-bedroom, 800 square foot house. And while those houses exist, they're on these big lots of land that oftentimes are in a place where they would naturally be redeveloped over time. And I think that, boy, it'd be great if we could see more communities where you've got like a bunch of 800 square foot houses for people who are aging and don't need as big of a home, so they can stay in their community, so they're not having to go somewhere else when they get older and can't live in their house anymore, and where you can raise kids, or where you can, like, where there's more flexibility and more shared green space that can be used. And it's just, I don't think there's any one right answer, and it's painful to all of us because we're all living in this. And so I appreciate everything all of you have said tonight. So thank you very much for all of your input. And I really respect you all for showing up here, because it's a lot to take a night out of your evening to come here. So thank you.
And thank you. And I'm glad we all had a chance to speak our minds on this. And at this point, Taylor, if you want to put these comments into a letter, we'll send it directly to County. And at this point in time, we are in the process of moving toward a motion here. We have finishing the motion. We have a motion to approve the area-wide rezone, moved by Commissioner Sheldon, seconded by Commissioner Chandler. And we've had our discussion. It's time for the vote. And Taylor, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bush.
Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Bastide.
Yes.
Commissioner Chandler.
Yes.
Chair Larson.
Yes.
Commissioner Namella.
Yes.
Commissioner Sievers.
Yes.
And Commissioner Sheldon.
No.
Okay, we have 7 in favor, 1 no. The vote passes, and with the provision that there will be an attached letter to the motion. And thank you very much, staff, for being here, and thank you for those who came tonight. And at this time, we will forego the new business. We'll pick that up at a future date. And we move to the adjournment. Any comments before we adjourn?